Hello there, guys, and welcome to Daily Updates. Um, well, thank you for tuning in. If you guys are live, we are actually waiting for the EFF to be doing a media briefing, and just after the EFF, the ANC should be doing a media briefing on the coalition. The busiest day before the sworn in of members of parliament. It is going to be very interesting as we are looking to see who is the ANC going to be working with? Because at the moment, there are rumors that the ANC will be siding with with the DA, which is the only available conclusion in this matter. ANC working with the DA. I don't see it any other way. As we checked on the EFF account, they will be going live at 8 p.m. to give the nation clearance on what is the way forward. But standing here, I can just tell you guys that maybe I should check if you guys are able to hear me. If you are able to hear me, just let me know, guys. I'm just watching the screen. So what we know for now is that the ANC will be announcing a relationship between them and the DA. There is no way that they are going to agree with anyone else beside the DA. The relationship is a coalition between ANC, DA, IFP, and the NFP. That is what we have at the moment. That is what we have at the moment, and it's going to continue as such. A lot of people are disappointed to hear that the ANC is siding with the DA. But what do you expect? What do you expect from whatever that is going to be going on? Because I believe that it was a point of negotiations. And if you feel like you are not well represented or your rights are not given a chance, of course, you are not going to be part of the negotiations or part of that coalition. At the moment where we see the ANC, they probably sat down with EFF, MK, and other parties, including the DA, and decided, can we work together? The DA probably says, I cannot work with you. I would want to work with you only if you don't have the MK or you don't have the EFF. The EFF, they've said it publicly that they are not looking to work with the DA. I just want, I'm not sure if I can find it. There was a tweet by Julius Malema. I'll just check it on my phone. The EFF does not want to work with the DA. MK Party says, get rid of Ramaphosa and let us go on with our work. So you can't blame the ANC. Of course, we want to see them having another coalition that we think is going to be better, but the ANC has 40%. They cannot allow their president to be sidelined. I'm just looking for that Julius Malema tweet. They cannot allow Ramaphosa to be sidelined. So the best thing for them would be take Ramaphosa and then forget about the rest, because they're not going to allow MK to say that, get rid of him. And I think part of the problem with EFF doesn't want DA. And the issue of Minister of Finance, ANC knows that that is their position. They want that. And there were conditions like clearing of all debts in the next 12 months. There were issues of land without expropriation in the next 12 months. A state bank in the next 12 months. Those were the conditions of the EFF, to name a few. When you look at it, there is no way that the ANC would agree to that, especially if you tell them that we need to do these following things in 12 months. They got the chance for 30 years. What tells you that if you give them those conditions in 12 months, they are going to agree? They know that that is not going to happen. If they agree with EFF on those terms, it is going to be a problem, because at the end of the day, the ANC would still fail in proceeding with those things. Just a second, guys. I'm just looking for that tweet. Julius Malema, I think he was hinting at the fact that the coalition with ANC has failed. Okay. He did it. He tweeted this morning saying, good morning, progressive forces. We must hold on to each other with such strength that it unsettles the racist and collaborators. Our readiness to face any consequences will carry us to victory, and history will absolve us. We must destroy the very idea of fear from our minds by consistently telling the truth, because ultimately the truth will conquer evil. Fear not, fellow fighters, because we will never sell out the EFF founding manifesto for political experience. We shall overcome. Victory is certain. That is what Julius Malema said. And as a layman listening to that, you already know that it is over. Julius Malema is announcing at around 15 minutes, it is over. He's going to be announcing that our coalition, our relationship, or our talks with ANC have failed. We are going to remain at the opposition chambers. So now, it's worrying because one would have thought maybe the EFF will get a chance to show us, can they really govern? One would have thought maybe, even if it's not Minister of Finance, they would probably get maybe a certain position in Parliament where they could say that we are doing good and we can judge them based on how well they did. But unfortunately, the ANC would not let EFF dictate their conditions. The ANC is siding with the DA. That will be a test for the ANC, because whatever mistake that comes from that coalition, it is going to harm the ANC more than it harms the DA. The main benefactor in that coalition would be the DA, because DA has nothing to lose. They've never governed. Today is the only day where they will get an opportunity to be in government. Why would the DA then go back and say that, oh, well, I understand that today it is the best day that we can take it, but I don't want to be part of you, ANC, because you are corrupt. The DA would never do such a thing, because they know that if we get a chance with the ANC, they are going to compare the relationship between the two, and we might be the one to be given credit. This is earlier, about an hour ago, several members of the ANC, they were arriving for that meeting at the Cape Sun Hotel.
Okay.
The ANC members are arriving for that finalization of coalition with the DA. It's no longer a rumor. We all know that it's going to happen. It's not a matter of when. It's a matter of just a few minutes. It is going to be announced. I think what we are going to get from Julius Malema's address is that what is going to tell us will be a way for us to know that, well, this is the direction. Obviously, Julius will announce that talks have failed with the ANC. So we'll remain in opposition. And then we will get the big guns telling us that we are with the DA. People have been criticizing the ANC, saying that they don't want the ANC to work with the DA. But unfortunately, if you are a leader, would you let a situation where you can be taken out, and in that case, when you are taken out, the relationship between MK, EFF, ANC goes on as if nothing happens? Ramaphosa will feel that I've been elected, so I'm not going to be told that I should sit out so that there could be a coalition between black parties. I don't think Ramaphosa will agree to that. Ntombi says this is the downfall of the ANC, is going to be is going to the drains. Shame on Rama Rama and his foolish faction. That's what I'm saying. Ramaphosa, where he's standing, he is a president. He's been elected by the comrades in the ANC. Now, he's not going to allow a situation where they are going to tell him to sit out on this issue of negotiations or being a president. He's not going to allow that because he knows if he allows the opportunity for MK to say that we're going to work with the ANC if he's not part of the process, Zuma is going to say, next thing, let's arrest Ramaphosa like you did to me. So I think the problem was choosing between ANC and the opposition. And ANC means Ramaphosa. The people on the ground might not agree with what the ANC is going to announce, but unfortunately, I don't think they have any other choice. They love Ramaphosa. They can't let him go. Fikile Mbalula loves Ramaphosa. Gwede Mantashe loves Ramaphosa. They believe in their leader who is elected. So by saying Ramaphosa must go down so that other members can be happy, other parties can be happy, and they can form a coalition, it's going to be like they're selling out their president. Now, that means they are wiping the history of ANC, where it was the only party that stood alone and it stood for the black people. Now they're defining themselves as a party that is working with a white party of the DA, which was contesting elections even in 1990 and before 1994. That is what the people are afraid of. They're afraid of the fact that you are going to an unknown territory and it might backfire because the ANC doesn't stand to lose in 2 years, in 3 years. The ANC stands to lose in the next elections. If this coalition doesn't work and it doesn't deliver for the people, it goes on for 5 years, they must be prepared to be voted by less than 20% of the people, because that is when people will know that actually ANC is history. We are about 8 minutes to the address by Julius Malema, guys. And thank you for tuning in. Just click the like button if you can, guys. We are going to cover this until Ramaphosa announces the coalition, because he's going to be doing it just after the EFF. EFF will be announcing at around 8 p.m. Hopefully, they don't take long. And once they are done, we go live to Ramaphosa. And maybe we can have some engagement throughout the night, because Ramaphosa can come at 11 p.m. and say that this is what we are doing. Don, I told you ANC would partner with the DA. There goes the land and economic freedom question. A return to apartheid. Do you believe Afroset? I'm not sure what it means, my brother. And then another message, something interesting will happen in 2026 election, T-Men. Viva Coalition, Viva. Mpo, I think you are happy with what the ANC will be announcing. And Major, I don't see ANC governing alone again. ANC-DA partnership is the end of ANC and will further divide the movement, since there are those who feel betrayed by this. Of course, I agree with how you view this. And Don Brown, Ramaphosa was re-elected for the benefit of imperialism. Is Britain and American main man, loyal and obedient? Mudiredi says DA strategy has always been divide and rule. The winner here is the DA. I'm not sure if you're screaming or what, but I get your point. And also, good son, ANC, EFF, and MK should be a collision, even if ANC will be DA. Ramaphosa will go to jail. Are you going to cover our CAC in this channel? Sidiso, I will. The issue with that is that I've had a problem with the EFF affecting my channel before elections. There were 2 videos that were deleted. Unfortunately, I tried to communicate with them in terms of that issue, because there were 2 videos of Julius Malema that I uploaded, but without probably engaging me so that where they feel that I shouldn't be posting that, maybe they should have let me know, don't do this. But they did that. I couldn't get assistance from them. I reached out so many times. I even got tired of reaching out because you end up thinking that maybe you are not being given a consideration. But today I am going to live stream it. Hopefully we don't get in trouble. Hopefully they don't come at me because I believe the last time whatever that happened was not supposed to be done. But hopefully nothing wrong comes. I'm sure you can see I don't really cover much of EFF of late, not because I don't want to, but it's because of what happened. And I don't think it could be coming from the leadership. Someone must have done something. Anyway, that aside, Ramaphosa will announce the DA and ANC relationship. Julius Malema will announce that will go to the bench and be opposition with MK. And the issue of MK is very complex. I think they are close to being live, guys. Just bear with me as I'm just going to turn this off until Julius start going live. So once he goes live, I'm just going to go off so that you guys can be able to see, guys. We are about to start. Please enjoy.
Chief President Julius Malema will be leading our media briefing. Thank you, President.
Oh, this one. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Our spokesperson and officials, the journalists and the people of South Africa. The economic freedom fighters has been engaging different role players on constituting a stable government in South Africa following the 2024 general elections, which did not produce an outright winner. We have since the official announcement of the final result met with the leadership of the ANC, MKP, UDM, ATM, Al-Jamaa, and the PAC. Our basis of engagement with all these political parties was based on the principle of constituting a stable parliament and government which will lead South Africa for the next 5 years. As we stated in the press conference we held at the IEC Results Operations Center on the 1st of June 2024, our principles and pillars of negotiations and meetings with all political parties include the following: appreciation of the EFF 7 non-negotiable pillars for economic freedom in our lifetime, service delivery commitments with timelines, particularly on land, jobs, water, electricity, flushing toilets, free education, 24/7 clinics per ward, and houses for all people with disability within a year. Anti-racism, meaning that whatever coalition the EFF participate in must not reinforce white supremacy and Afrikanersdom. Anti-imperialism, meaning that whoever we partner with must not be a puppet or representation of the West imperialist agenda and interests in South Africa. Commitment to African unity for common prosperity and development. Publication of all the concrete agreements reached with coalition partners to avoid a perception that they are secret agreements. Constant and honest engagements and report to the people on the progress made on coalitions. Despite our commitment to unite all opposition parties to completely remove the ANC from power, since it was rejected by 59% of voters of South Africa, we did not and will from now henceforth never meet with the Democratic Alliance and all right-wing Oppenheimer-funded political parties. The DA is our enemy. These right-wing and neoliberal parties represent a reactionary, counter-revolutionary, and neo-colonial agenda which seeks to protect the existing property relations in South Africa, where the white supremacy continue to be the economic majority. We report to South Africa that we do not have any concrete agreement with the ANC, which has said it will come back to us after the 2 official meetings we held with them. We are, however, aware that the ANC is finalizing an agreement to work with the DA, the Freedom Front Plus, and other reactionary political parties. As we said before, the EFF will not participate in a government that includes right-wing and reactionary political parties. The EFF will, however, participate in parliament and provincial legislatures and will contest for position of speakers, deputy speakers, and chairpersons of committees. These responsibilities are not a product of an elite pact, but an electoral outcome which has mandated us to be members of parliament and provincial legislatures. We have communicated this decision and approach to the leadership of the ANC and all other political parties that we had engaged with. In relation to the province of KwaZulu-Natal, the EFF is of a firm conviction that MKP should be given the opportunity to lead the government of KwaZulu-Natal, and we as the EFF will support all processes to constitute the legislature that is led and guided by MKP as the political party that has received the highest number of votes in the province. The EFF continues to be a radical, militant, and revolutionary economic emancipation movement and will not compromise principle on the altar of political and opportunistic convenience. We remain open to a discussion now and in the future that will result in a government that does not include the DA and the Freedom Front. On a personal account, I've this morning met with the president of the ANC, where we had 4 eyes. And I've expressed the wishes and the decisions of the EFF to him. Key amongst others included that we will not participate, as I've indicated, in the government of national unity because that is a plan B for the Oppenheimer family. We will not participate with the DA and the Freedom Front in the same cabinet where NSFAS is going to be converted into a student loan, where minimum wage is going to be scrapped, where the gains of 1994 are going to be reversed. We said to the president this morning that despite the fact that we are not participating in the cabinet, we'll however request him to ask the ANC to support our candidate for the Speaker of Parliament. And in exchange for that, we'll support the ANC's candidature for president, because we believe that the party which got the highest number should indeed be the party that leads. If they refuse to give us the speaker, we are prepared to take the deputy speaker on condition that the speaker candidate is from the ANC or from any progressive party, not the DA or the Freedom Front. We further indicated to the president that we are willing to participate in all the committees as chairpersons, and we are not obliged to get as many committees as possible. Whatever the ANC feels comfortable with can allocate those positions to the EFF. We said to the president that we are going to request the ANC to stop its paging of MMCs of the EFF at all levels until this kind of engagements are resolved, because they are poisonous. We further emphasize to the president that MKP got 45% of the votes in KwaZulu-Natal, and if the principle is he must be supported to be president because he's got 40% of the votes, the same principle should apply in KwaZulu-Natal. And if the ANC has not had engagement with MKP and feels strongly that it will not vote for the MKP, the most advisable thing to do will be to abstain. I indicated to the president this morning that any other move outside the MKP is a provocation to the people of KZN. And we must not blame them if they're to react to what these reactionaries would have agreed to undermine the direction which the people of KwaZulu-Natal have given. We have made it very clear to the president that we are not against the government of national unity. We are against the inclusion of the DA and the Freedom Front Plus, because that represent imperialism, represent racism and white supremacy, represent backwardness. And I must indicate that I've stated categorically to the President that the Speaker we are requesting for and the chairpersons of committees will not include me. I will not make myself available because I know part of the difficulty they have is with my name. And if that will compromise the government of national unity and a stable parliament and government, I've since withdrawn my name from all possible positions in exchange for a stable government and the Parliament of the Republic of South Africa. We have sent the name of our national chairperson as a speaker, Veronica Mente, alternatively as a deputy speaker, and our deputy president as the chairperson of the finance committee, as the most qualified and long-serving member of that particular committee, and the rest of the other committees, they will allocate us and will be able to do the necessary deployment at that particular time. This is where we stand in relation to the government of national unity and the negotiations we have had with all political parties, except political parties funded by the Oppenheimer family. We see this as a fight back by the Oppenheimers against the EFF for its position, which exposed them that they wanted to buy South Africa with the monies that they have, and they failed. This that you see today of the ANC, DA, IFP, and all of that is a plan B of the Oppenheimers to hijack our democracy. This is a clear fight back by the Oppenheimers. The EFF members must act with restraint and the highest form of discipline. They must not be easily shaken by forces of darkness. The EFF members must know that we are in for a big fight, and this fight is inevitable. We are ready for it, and they must not be scared or be intimidated by anyone. We ask and make a strong appeal to those who have uncontrollable ambitions for positions in government of national unity, not to do that in the name of the EFF. Ours is not an immediate achievement. Ours is a generational mission, and that mission will be attained in our lifetime. If this is our last participation in parliament and in the legislatures, so be it. But history will record that we have made a contribution. We must not be so disparate to participate in government, including a government that is compromised and a government that is controlled by imperialism and foreign agents who want to exploit and continue to exploit the mineral resources of South Africa. All those who are now having uncontrollable ambition for power and are advised by those who have always opposed the EFF should ask themselves as to what interest do these people now represent when they speak like they want the EFF, when they've not, for a very long time, did not support the EFF. We know that we'll have family members, we'll have friends, we'll have business partners who see this as an opportunity for immediate accumulation. Let that temptation not be surrendered to. Let the discipline of the EFF reign supreme amongst the leaders and the members of our organization. We believe in the militancy and the radicalism of the EFF. We believe in the unity of purpose for the EFF, and we believe strongly that it is this collective effort and united forces of the left that will win against forces of darkness. I thank you.
Thank you, President. Question time, and I know there's going to be a lot of questions, the hands are up. So we're going to take a round of 7 first, and hopefully we will get to the point. If you covered, let's just say we covered, okay. So we're going to go number 1, number 2, number 3, I think that's Jamie at the back, number 4. Okay, let's go with number 4. We'll conclude with number 4 there. Number 1. Media House and your full name, please.
Okay, Lizega Tandwa, Sunday Times. Mr. Malema, can you perhaps share what was the President's reaction and response to you during this conversation? And just your own interpretation of what is happening with this GNU. A lot of people have been raised concern around Parliament not having, or opposition parties rather, not playing their role as watchdogs to the government of the day. Is this not an opportunity for you to play that role? What do you say to that?
Number 2 is over here. Swanila.
The name is Abdurrahman Khan. I'm from Muslim Matters newspaper. I think 2 years ago, CIC, you made a statement that the President Ramaphosa is a project of the DA. Can you expound on that, what you mean by that, and do you think this is what it is all about, this government of national unity, and they're now in bed with the DA? And secondly is, do you foresee the demise of the ANC?
Number 3, it was Jamie at the back.
Jamie Mighty from Africa Research Desk. My question is around funding. You've pointed out that the Oppenheimers have influenced the political outcomes by the discourse through funding of various political parties. It also seems that Michel Leroux of Capitec also influenced funding through some of his vehicles which went to the DA. The question is more long-term, saying and about going forward. How will these funding dynamics be dealt with in the South African democracy, considering that some of these billionaire entities also control polling companies and they also control media houses? For instance, we saw Naspers donating to 2 political parties, and they also own publications that are reporting on preferred coalition partners. So I wonder what the EFF thinks about that participation of money, but also how is that mitigated to give the general populace, which doesn't have billions, an equivalent say? Thank you.
Number 4 was here in the front.
Meshach Makora from Daily Sun. I would like to know from you, Mr. Malema, do you believe South Africa is ready for inclusive government and the proposed GNU by the ANC? Secondly, EFF shares common ground with the ANC, especially on the land issue. Don't you think being part of the GNU would assist to propel the country toward that direction?
Thank you, President. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Well, my discussion with the President were cordial, and he appreciated the EFF's offer and said that it shouldn't be very difficult for them to come back to us with a clear, definite answer. So after the NEC, I'm going to have a meeting again with the President to have a final detail of what is the agreement. And we see that as a role that we're elected to play. We're not elected to be government, that's why we don't have a majority. But if we play any role in Parliament, that's what we're elected to do. We are members of Parliament, we can be chairpersons of Parliament, we can be Speaker of Parliament. It's a responsibility which the electorate said, go and execute. So playing an oversight will not necessarily only mean that you must be in opposition and without any single position in the legislature or parliament. We remain an opposition in positions of committees, in positions of deputy speaker or a speaker. And that even makes that committee to be more effective, because departments are no longer going to go there knowing very well that they're going to enjoy the protection of the chairperson. So that will give the EFF the most efficient and effective way of holding the executive accountable. And that's why we think there is no contradiction in doing that. The interpretation I've given to you, it's a plan B. The first plan was to buy South Africa through the funding of political parties. That's why there is a party change which was given more than 30 million. It ended up not participating in the election. Then Rise Mzansi and all kind of political parties given huge millions. And what did South Africans do? Rejected those millions. So this answers the same question. What are you saying about the future funding by these institutions which have got control over the research institute, which have got control over the media? South Africans are going to become more and more wiser, and they've demonstrated during these elections that they cannot be bought. They rejected millions. The Oppenheimers were dishing out money unashamedly. When we say Oppenheimers, we mean all of those people. Oppenheimer is a representative of those multimillionaire families of the Ruperts and the Minels and all of them who have been pumping money to try and manipulate the political landscape in South Africa, and that has successfully failed. So what do? We retreat back to our traditional political parties and then unite them. The IFP is not an organization outside the Oppenheimers. It was formed by them. Who in his rightful mind will give Tlhabisa 20 million? Because he can't even speak to that 20 million himself. So why would someone say, yes, 20 million to Tlhabisa? To do what with it? Tlhabisa was given 20 million and then he was pushed out of the campaign. The campaign was run by the chairperson and the premier candidate of the IFP in KZN. I found Tlhabisa campaigning in Malamulele. I'm like, what is he doing in Malamulele? That's how much he was pushed out of the campaign. But the money was put inside the IFP because the IFP is an entity of the Oppenheimer family. You have all seen at the Prince Mangosuthu Buthelez's funeral, where no less than 4 members of the Oppenheimer family are in attendance. There is a video of them greeting President Ramaphosa at Prince Mangosuthu Buthelez's funeral. The Oppenheimers did not go to Mandela's family. They were not a factor in Mandela's family, a funeral. The Oppenheimers did not go to Obama's lecture in Johannesburg about Mandela, that memorial, what. They were not playing any role. But in the Prince Mangosuthu Buthelez's funeral, they played a prominent role. Why? The Oppenheimers wanted Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi to be the first black president of South Africa. They never believed in the ANC and Nelson Mandela. That's why when Nelson Mandela's first meetings outside South Africa, he was asked by Britain as to what is going to be the role of Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi in your cabinet when you win the elections. So Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi and the IFP have always been the project of the Oppenheimer family. The DA, it goes without saying. They control it. Now, they've got hold on the president of the ANC, and the situation demands that they must all come together. The DA complained and supported the impeachment of the president. The DA complained about Paul Mashatile. The DA complained about all the corrupt people. All of a sudden, they've got nothing to say about those people. That is an indication that someone came to take out the brain and said, we're moving this direction and we don't want to be questioned. Why would all of a sudden the DA see holy and good leadership in the ANC when they've not throughout the years? Is because when the numbers put together, the Oppenheimers see that they will still continue to be in charge. So the ANC played with an opportunity to isolate imperialist forces and the white monopoly capital in South Africa. This was an opportune moment for progressive political formations to come together. The president says to me, we cannot form the GNU without a DA because we want a non-racial GNU. I asked him a question. Are you saying the ANC is not a non-racial organization? Because the ANC is a non-racial organization without the DA. So why would it say, when it comes to government, if there is no DA, we are not non-racial? But when they run their daily activities, including in their constitution, they are non-racial. I said to the president, there are white people in the ANC, in the EFF, in all the progressive formations. White people are found there. If it's about the question of non-racialism, we can still find white people from amongst ourselves. It's not the question of non-racialism. We are not opposed to white people. We are opposed to white supremacy. We are opposed to racism. We are opposed to Afrikanerdom. We are opposed to white monopoly capital. Any other progressive name that gets to be put forward by the president of a white person, Indian person, colored person, African person, as long as that is a progressive name, will support it. I said to the president, we voted for the DA in 2016, where you, comrades, were arrogantly defying and denying us an opportunity to work together in 2016. We said to you, let's work together. You said, no, we don't want to work with you in the arrogant manner you are doing. What did we do? We pulled out where the DA was defeating you. We folded our hands. And I said to him, to show you it's not a question of race, and don't leave here saying I'm anti-white people. In 2016, we refused to participate in municipalities with the DA led by a black person. It was led by Maimani. In Joburg, it was led by Mashaba. We still said, we don't care who are the faces. This organization is a tool for imperialism and for white monopoly capital. So it's not about color. It's about the party that represents backwardness, a party that is a racist organization, a party like Freedom Front that says part of its conditions to go into a coalition is that we must declare Orania as a white Afrikaner land. And you say to us, we must go and participate in such a coalition. We'll never do that. Remember, when you are in cabinet, once you are defeated in argument, those decisions are binding on you. As a disciplined member of cabinet, you must go and defend that Orania must be a land of the Afrikaners. We will not do that. We will rather die without occupying positions in government than to allow white supremacists and racists to thrive. Fighters, inclusive government should not mean a compromise on the principle. We are for inclusive government. That's why we said today, we are the first political party to say to the ANC, we will work with you. But because we understood the element of inclusive government and government of national unity, but it does not mean we must sleep with Zionists with our eyes open. We're not going to do that. We said to the people of Palestine, we said to the Muslim communities everywhere in South Africa, the vote and the victory of the EFF is a victory of the people of Palestine. Those Muslims who voted for the EFF, those Muslims who have voted for the ANC, what are you saying to them when you go immediately in bed with the people who have supported a genocide, the killing of innocent women and children, and we must close our eyes in the name of inclusive government and overlook humanity? We will not do that as the EFF. President Ramaphosa has always been a project of these people. From school, he went straight to work for Urban Foundation, to work for the Oppenheimers. President Ramaphosa formed NUM. He has never been a mine worker. He has never been underground. From school straight, he was given money with other colleagues to form an NUM that was funded directly by the Oppenheimers. How does NUM, which had a policy conference over the weekend, sing a song, Sebenza kanzima, we're not being paid money, we're paid peanuts, and then one of the people who joins them in singing that song is Pravin Gordhan. They even get addressed by Pravin Gordhan, who's in cahoots with these mines that are exploiting the mine workers. That's a huge contradiction. It can clearly indicate to you that these people do not mean anything they are saying. So this is the end of the ANC. It is not of our own making. The ANC is not dying because the EFF is growing. The ANC is dying a natural death. With or without Zuma, the projections were the way they are now. Before the formation of MKP, the research showed that the ANC is going to go below 50%. And Mbalula pulled it below 30%. At some point on the board, it went below 40% for real. So this is the end of it. Because you cannot say you want to change the property relations and you are engaged in the struggle for land, and then you go into cahoots with the people who are actually opposed to that struggle for the land. So South Africans, there is a story being peddled that we are flip-floppers because in 2016 we worked with DA and today we say we can't work with DA. Let's put it on record, lazy readers and lazy thinkers and people with a memory of a chicken. Go and check those facts. We have never worked with the DA. We said we are going to fold our arms because the ANC was arrogantly engaging us. We folded our arms and the DA dealt with them. And today you want to now turn the whole thing and say the EFF worked with the DA. We never worked with the DA. We never had an MMC under the DA government. We never had a speaker under the DA government. We never asked this, that which we are asking from the ANC, from the DA. There's an opportunity for progressive forces to align. When we say progressive forces, the people say you are saying black parties. There are no black parties. We are not a black party. We are a progressive force of the left. We are saying the progressive forces must align. I told President very clearly that maybe sometimes this thing rings nicely in your ear when the DA says we'll work only with the ANC of Ramaphosa. It's not true. The ANC of Ramaphosa lost in Tshwane, in Joburg, in Tekwini, in Ikuruleni, and PE. Why didn't the DA offer the president what he is offering them now? Why didn't the DA say there is no outright winner? Come ANC of Ramaphosa, let's work together in Tshwane. If this situation we're in now, was the DA in this situation with 40% and Freedom Front with 11% and ACDP with 5%, we're not going to be talking these things we're talking. They would have united and isolated all the progressive forces. And I'm not speculating. I'm telling you facts. Go and check in Tshwane, where the DA has got no outright majority. Did it invite the ANC of Ramaphosa because they can only work with the ANC of Ramaphosa? The ANC is under Ramaphosa now, in Tshwane, in Joburg, in Ikuruleni. Why is the DA not inviting him? It is because Ramaphosa suffers from inferiority. He cannot work without white supervision. To invite the DA is to invite supervisors. It's not to invite progressive white people to come and join hands with us to rebuild South Africa. So we reject this government with everything it deserves for as long as it puts in white supremacists, it puts in Afrikanerdom, it puts in colonialism and imperialism, will not be part of the neo-colonial government. Comrades and everybody else who seek to persuade us otherwise, we are making a plea, leave us alone. If this is our natural death, let us die with our boots on.
Thank you, President. We're going to do another round, and hopefully it's the last round. EWN sitting right here in the front. 1, 2, 3, Sunday World. 4, Kaya. I saw you. 5, Newsroom. 6 with the overall, no, it's not quite a red overall. Number 6. Number 1.
Also.
Taviso Goba from Eyewitness News. I know, Mr. Malema, you addressed that the ANC should stop purging your MMCs in some municipalities. I just want to know, what is the future of your provincial Gauteng chairperson, Kululeko Dunga? Is he going to remain in Kuruleli, or is he going to go back to the, or is he going to go to the provincial legislature? Thank you.
Good evening, Paul Vecchiato from Bloomberg. If your suggestion of taking up certain positions by party members in the legislature isn't met, will you be prepared at looking at doing something of forming an opposition party alliance, for want of a better term, against the ANC/DA government, so, and with the EFF becoming the leader of that opposition bloc or alliance? Thank you.
Number 3.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Mawande. I work for the Sunday World. Mr. Malema, as it relates to the purging, as you put it, of the EFF MMCs, as we saw in Ekurhuleni yesterday, and there's already a talk that the ANC has taken a decision that it will divorce the EFF in Ekurhuleni as well as Johannesburg. And in line with what you are saying, that you've requested that be put to a stop. If that doesn't happen, what is the strategy of the EFF as it relates to that? And also, in Gauteng as well, is the EFF willing to support Mr. Panyaza Lesufi to return as the Premier of Gauteng? We saw that he's been shortlisted as the Premier candidate of the ANC in that province. Since you've been working well with the ANC under Mr. Lesufi in that particular province of Gauteng. About KZN, you say that you will support the MKP to govern in that province because they got majority of the votes. The question then becomes, is it an informal support, or do you have a formal agreement with the MK party? And if you do have a formal agreement, what are the details of that agreement? Do you share the executive, or do you want to participate in the provincial legislature? Thank you very much.
Number 4 was next, Kaya.
Good evening, Mr. Malema. Katleo Sohoto from Kaya 959. Just your sense on what you make of some of the MK internal leadership challenges, especially as we've seen the expelled member, Mr. Jabulani Khumalo, losing his court bids. In your talks with the party, the weight of those internal challenges, how does it affect those possible conversations that you're having with them?
And then number 5 is all the way over here.
Evening, it's Zianda Ngobo from Newsroom Africa. My question is similar to that of Bloomberg's. If the ANC then rejects this proposal that you put on the table with the president today, what does that mean in terms of your ability to plan for 2026 local government elections? Would it also mean that you would have overplayed your hand if some of your constituency believes that you may have not actually put the best offer on the table, and linked to what you've touched on briefly, Mr. Malema, when it comes to the prospects of growth for the organization? Thank you.
And number 6 just behind.
Hi, my name is Bulelani from SABC. Also just linked to what Paul has asked. If your demand for the position of Speaker and Deputy Speaker is not met by the ANC, will you be posting a presidential candidate during the vote? And secondly, will you be actively lobbying some of the ANC MPs who are allegedly not in support of the ANC-DA coalition to vote with your candidate? Thank you.
President?
Thank you very much. The MMC of EFF in Ekurhuleni Dunga he remains a councillor of the EFF in Ekurhuleni, and if we are not finding each other with the president, we are going to withdraw all our MMCs in all areas where we are participating with the ANC. So if by this evening Dunga is not reappointed as the MMC of Finance. All our MMCs in Johannesburg, in Mohali City, in PE, in Ekurhuleni, all of them are going to step down. We're not scared of a fight. They want to bring it on, we're ready for it. And we're not desperate for positions, we have never been. We are here to make a contribution. I just saw this as muddying the waters during the most critical period where we have to find each other. A person goes and removes an MMC at night without even engaging the leadership of the EFF. We have had a very good working relationship with the leadership of the ANC in Gauteng. We have had direct communication with the chairperson of the ANC in Gauteng and the secretary. But since the announcement that they are going to work with the DA, those guys have completely blocked us from any form of communication. So don't think you can threaten the EFF by taking away MMCs. We will never be shaken by such things. We are aware that they say they are going to unplug us. We cannot be unplugged by fools. We are going to withdraw ourselves. We're not desperate, and we are going to remain. There is no Dunga who's going to any legislature. He's going to be a councillor, and he's going to fight from the opposition benches in the Ekurhuleni municipality. And the same goes for all of them. So the deputy president must start preparing resignation letters for all of them. That once I meet the president, they say they are not willing to accommodate it tonight, not tomorrow, tonight. Then we know the deal is off. And we can as well just walk away. We're not like Muzwandile Masina, who was desperate till now, bitter to the end, wanting to be a mayor at all costs. So we're not those kind of people who are here for position. South Africa, we have made contribution to the struggle of South Africa at an early age. And it doesn't mean we must exit through ministerial positions or anything. We can exit at any time if the South Africans wish so. But you cannot do away with the kind of contribution we've made in the struggle for the total liberation of our people in South Africa. So be rest assured, we cannot be intimidated by positions. Positions are never anything. Listen to all these ex-prisoners, gangsters, and all of them, how they negotiate. They tell you position from when they enter the gate. No principles, no nothing. The DA has got no principal agreements with the ANC. They've agreed on positions. They actually told him that we want 1, 2, 3, 4 departments, and those departments must be exclusively for us, and you must not interfere. And he says he has refused. He said, no, we can agree on ministries as to which ones, that should be left to the president. And there's no ministry that can be exclusively for white people of the DA. Because cabinet ministry means a collective leadership. So it can't be that there are certain departments which are not accountable to the president. At least if he's honest by that, then we know that there's already a contestation. Right at the beginning, they can't find one another. So let's allow that process to unfold. If the DA goes into government, and this must be known to all of you, if the DA goes into government, the official opposition is MKP. That's what you must know. That's how it works. There's no one who's going to be in government and still be an official opposition. And MKP and ourselves were together. We shall be official opposition together. We'll help each other in that role together. We are more experienced than them. We've been here. And we've got a cordial relationship with them. So even when we are chairpersons of the committees or speakers, we remain opposition. It is allowed. They can't say you are now a chairperson of a committee, you can't be an opposition party. No. The IFP was the chairperson of SCOPA, and it remained an opposition party. So our acceptance of this responsibility, if Veronica becomes a speaker, it doesn't mean anything about EFF being an opposition. it remains an opposition party opposed to the current government. There's no need, really. The people of South Africa must swallow what they've decided to chew. And they decided to chew 40% of the ANC. So why should you field a presidential candidate for what? That's what they said they want. Why do they go and make decisions and hope someone is going to rescue them from the other side? It's their own decision. They chose load shedding. They chose Ramaphosa. They chose the highest level of unemployment. They chose racism. That's what they chose. So if the ANC fails to come together with progressive formations, we are prepared to sit back. But let's tell you, we'll fully participate in this parliament. And this time around, we have taken a decision not to play a role of a disruption, of being robust, of engaging to a point where we follow up that which was rejected illegally in parliament through peaceful protest on the streets. You will never see us on the stage. You will never see us fighting with any bouncer, anything of that sort. We are here as a 10-year-old organization with mature parliamentary politics, well experienced, to make sure that the views of those who voted for us are well represented. From now onwards, when you say there is a racist at our work, we check the historical tweeting of yours. If you have been tweeting ANC, DA, go and fight with those white people alone. We are now representing our own people who have been supporting us. Skatel manje. Skatel. We are with our people. And let me reassure you, this party is going to grow. This deal is the best deal you can ever think of. We did this deal almost the same in 2016. What happened after 2016? We increased our votes in 2019. We moved from 25 members of parliament to 44 members of parliament. So we have never engaged in a deal that is detriment to the growth of the EFF. We've always made calculations as to how do we grow our movement. So we are well within our right. We have not lost our support. The base that we started with in 2014 were not there. Anyone who says we are back there is not true. We are not in 2014. We have just lost some few seats and we are going to bounce back very strongly in 2026, and we are going to work in a focused manner. If you go and look at the list of the EFF now, in the legislatures, in the national parliament, in the NCOP, and look at where those people are coming from, we no longer put people who come from constituencies that don't vote for EFF. We are now choosing people who are choosing the EFF. We are a national organization. We'll find footprint everywhere. But we're not going to have, for instance, over-representation of people of KwaZulu-Natal in this parliament when they've not given us anything. They will get what is proportionate to what they gave us in these elections. And that applies to everyone. So we need to make sure that we all, if we need the assistance of the EFF, let's vote for the EFF. After the election, someone sends me a video of a community drinking water from a well. A well is like a hole. So they take water with a cup, put in a bucket. They say, no, can you do borehole for these people? Then I said, that's fine, we'll do a borehole. Send me the VD results of that voting station. And then they said, ANC, so why are you sending me this? Go where you voted. You don't know where you voted. Why are you coming to me? So when a water comes from a well, it tells you that there's too much water underground. Even when you drill a borehole, you are not going to struggle. Yet an ANC councillor does not drill a borehole. The ANC municipality does not drill a borehole. The ANC government does not drill a borehole. The EFF must go and drill a borehole. No, we now know the VDs that have voted for the EFF. And those are the people who are going to service. It doesn't mean we can't grow our base into the other constituencies. But as a party, you need to have your priorities right. Otherwise, you are going to undermine your growth. You are going to invest your resources where there are no dividends. We need dividends now. I'm really pleading, whether we like MKP or we don't like MKP, if you want peace in KwaZulu-Natal, which is not going to be instigated by MKP, which is not going to be instigated by EFF, that violence, the people are going to rise. If you go against the wish, you know, in KZN is worse. The MKP get 45%. The second party gets 18%. And you still think you can overlook that party. I told President Cyril Ramaphosa, I said, your own rules on coalition say a party with the highest number must be the one that lead. Please allow MKP to lead. Do not undermine the voice of the people of KwaZulu-Natal if we respect democracy. And we make that plea that please allow MKP to lead in KwaZulu-Natal. We are not in any formal agreement with them. We are not for any cabinet position in KwaZulu-Natal. We are not for any speaker. We are not for anything. When we get invited, only then we'll look at what are the nitty-gritties of such an invitation. We have never had such a discussion with MKP. We are supporting MKP in KwaZulu-Natal from a principled point of view that says the party with the majority must be the one that lead. The DA, these hypocrites, have been advocating for that. When they've refused to give Action SA mayorship, when they refused to give their partners mayorship, they always said, we are the one with the highest number, and therefore we can't give you the mayorship. What has changed in KwaZulu-Natal? Why is the DA not applying the same principle? Why is the ANC not applying the same principle? So we are going to stick to this principle as the EFF. Be rest assured, fellow South Africans, the MKP will overcome its internal leadership squabbles. It comes with the territory. There is no single organization that was formed and never faced leadership challenges. There was Mutletama here, who had to run all over the streets of Cape Town being chased by Bernard Joseph. So what do I say? We had our own share, and look at us now. We are in a much more stable way. So we are really not bothered by some potential infiltration on the leadership of MKP. Given President Zuma's experience and given those guys that we're negotiating with, Abu Natin Tleko, Abu former SARS, Tom Moyane, they are well-experienced people. Surely they should be knowing how to deal with potential internal leadership squabbles. As to what MKP stands for, what do they do and all of that, we are not the spokesperson of the MKP. Let them do whatever they want to do. The people chose them. And it's not only in KwaZulu-Natal. It's in South Africa. That's why I say to you, if the DA goes into government, MKP is the official opposition. Therefore, you want official statement on any issue, you are going to have to drive to Nkandla, like you did, to go and get official reaction of MKP, because it looks like the headquarters is there. So there's nothing we can do. The people of South Africa chose that. And all we can do as people who respect democratic principles is to stick to exactly that. So the EFF is not in any formal agreement, is not getting any executive position from MKP, and it hopes that MKP internal squabbles are just an irritation for a party that is new. So within a short space of time, we hope they will be able to overcome whatever difficulties they are confronted with. What we are interested in is to work with a solid party in the national parliament and in the legislature of KwaZulu-Natal in the legislature of Gauteng. This part of engagement we're having with the ANC, the same principles applies everywhere. If they are going in bed with the DA in Gauteng, they must not count us in. Panyaza and TK, through their rightful conscience, they got defeated here. They've been very clear of what needs to happen. But they're a provincial structure from a fragmented organization, a highly divided organization, and if their voice is overpowered, there's nothing you can do. By the way, the DA coalition failed in the NEC. They defeated the DA coalition in the NEC. This is what happens now, these days, how the ANC is run in a criminal mafia style. They allow people to speak. Then they say, let's adjourn, the president is going to give a summary. Then what they do, they call you guys in. Then the president speaks in front of you. Those on the floor who feel that this is not the summary of the meeting, it's not a true reflection of what transpired in the meeting, they've got no platform to object to that because the media is already in. That thing Cyril was doing, I was in the NEC of the ANC. Zuma used to give, you know what the president of the ANC do? They come with a written political overview and they come with a written closing remarks. They come with 2 speeches. So you all speak. Then at the end they read that speech as if you never said anything. In that NEC where I was sitting, there was Tokyo Sowale. It was my job and Tokyo Sowale's job. When the president summarizes wrongly, Tokyo will call point of order in the NEC and say, that is not the summary of our meeting. Balaga will say, Comrade Tokyo, the meeting is closed. The president said, no, we can't allow that. We reopen that meeting and say, this is not a true reflection of what happened. What the president said is not a true reflection of what happened in the NEC. And that is going to paralyze that organization. That is going to further divide that organization. That's what led to Ngokai Toby resigning in the Eastern Cape. That this is not what we agreed on. And I must now sit here with my right conscience and tell my people to go and vote for DA when I know this was not a true reflection of the meeting. So, but that is their own internal problems. So all I'm saying is, it's not like this matter of the DA is enjoying the popular narrative even internally in the ANC. It's a lie. It's News 24, is that foundation of the Oppenheimers, Brandhurst, that says, no, this is a popular view, or the markets and all of that. We chose the markets for 30 years. Look at us now. The president says, no, we've done this in 1994 under Madiba, and we can do the same. And look at us, we're able to neutralize these people. I said to him, no. Our anger today as the youth of South Africa is, you guys gave a lot in Codesa and in 1994. The National Party came in, neutralized you, made you to adopt a constitution that is going to restrict you. When they knew they had you at the corner, they pulled out of the coalition. You are not going to ask me to repeat your mistake of 1994. I'm not coming to that past. And easy. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we are done for tonight. Thank you, and we will see you all tomorrow at the swearing in. Thank you, President and officials.
So, guys,
Just allow
that's
the
it.
officials to leave.
Julius Malema has said everything he needed to say, venting, and I hope you guys can stay around as we'll be also waiting for Cyril Ramaphosa to also address the nation. But I would like to have some discussion with you guys regarding what Julius has said. A lot of things have been said, but if I wrote them down. If I am to point out something that was very interesting, was the issue of KZN, where he says MK as the party that has the majority in terms of the percentage, around 40%, and having the majority in that province should be given the go-aheads to be the decider in how that government is run, meaning if there is a coalition, they have to be on top. And he says if the ANC decides to exclude MKP and go and do their coalition and put MK as an opposition, whatever provocation that is going to start, the ANC must know that they're the ones who are responsible, because he's hinting at the fact that something could rise from that exclusion of MKP. I'm probably not saying the words that he said, but I'm just putting it in context. Basically saying that the supporters of MK in that province, they could start an uprising. They could start something like 2021 in July. If the MK supporters start something like that, where they feel like what ANC and the DA are doing is not fair on MKP, Julius says it's going to be unstoppable. I'd like to hear your views, but also just let me know if you can hear me in case I'm not audible. I have a few things that Julius was speaking about. He says he met with Ramaphosa, and meeting with Ramaphosa, he has these conditions that he asked from Ramaphosa. He says that they don't need to be part of the government. They don't need to be part of the agreement of ANC, but they are able to back up ANC in terms of choosing the president. They can be able to work with the ANC and vote for Ramaphosa as the president, provided ANC allows Floyd Shivambu to be chairperson of Finance Committee, Veronica Mente to be the Speaker of Parliament. If not Speaker, he can be given a position of a Deputy Speaker. And he says he refuses to work with the DA or Freedom Front Plus. He doesn't mince his words. He says, I do not want to see a coalition or a partnership with that involves the DA or the Freedom Front Plus. And he says IFP, okay, interesting. IFP was formed by Oppenheimers. It is the entity. They control IFP according to what he says. If they say jump, Velengosi jumps, and IFP was given 20 million. So he says that is why they are being controlled, because they are in the pockets of Oppenheimers. And he says in 1994, when elections were done, Oppenheimers wanted Buthelezi to be the first black president of South Africa. Even Nelson Mandela, when he was in UK, in Britain, they asked him, what are you going to do with Buthelezi? Meaning that the Oppenheimers have been pushing for Buthelezi to be that front man for them. And actually says that the Oppenheimers never go anywhere. But at Buthelezi's funeral, they were there. Just reading them out one by one. This was an opportunity for black parties to work together. The ANC, MK, and the EFF. Why am I mentioning the DA? ANC, MK, EFF. He says it was finally the time for black parties to work together. But unfortunately, the ANC, what they are doing, they are siding with the enemy instead of letting black parties work together. He says we are not opposed to white people, but we are opposed to racism, supremacist, and white monopoly capital. He says, I don't have a problem working with the DA, only if these things were not in the picture. So by working with the DA, we'll be supporting the WMC, the white supremacist, will be supporting racism. And Ramaphosa is a project of Oppenheimers, and he doesn't go around when he says this. He says he's a project. He knows nothing. He was just put there by the Oppenheimers so that he can do favors for them. And also highlighting that this is the end of the ANC. The ANC that people have been voting for and they've known, it is over with it. And says if this is the death of the EFF by after what is he said during the address, if the people rejects the EFF based on what they're putting forward, let it be so. If this is the death of the EFF, they are fine with it. And if Dunga is not reappointed as MMC of Finance, all the MMCs of EFF will step down. So there will not be any MMC if Dunga is not reappointed. So guys, we all listen to this. And if you can, please guys, those who did not, please click that like button. I want us to have a discussion while we are waiting for the official word from Cyril Ramaphosa. What did you guys think of the address by Julius Malema? One other interesting aspect was that he says the people of South Africa, those who did not support us or vote for us, whenever there is someone who needs help, because we know when people have a problem at their workplace, anywhere else, it can be racism, it can be social problems, they write or run to the EFF. So Julius says from now on, if somebody says, EFF, come and help us, we are going to go to Twitter or check their social media and say that, are you supporting another party except the EFF? If indeed you are doing that, then we are not coming. So he says, I'm washing my hands to anyone who's going to want help and was not supporting or has not been voting for us. I will not be present as the EFF. We will not be present when that person cries, which really it says the EFF now has decided for them, it is no longer to please the masses who don't vote for them. They are no longer going to be pleasing you if you don't vote for them. It's quite interesting. And another part, Julius says, we are no longer going to cause commotion in Parliament. We are not going on stage. We are not going to be fighting bouncers. All we are going to do is to sit down and just engage on the matters of Parliament. Is it a statement of growth from the EFF, an 11-year-old party? Is it the statement where they realized that we went to elections in 2014, we got that 6%. We went again in 2019, I think they got around 12% or 10, 11, 12 there. So is it a realization of that we have declined? Maybe it is a time we take a step forward and drop the acts that we did. Maybe it's time we engage the ANC, the DA, maturely. Maybe it's time we don't fight them. Maybe it's the time that we fight them with ideas. I believe if they do that, maybe it will be a step in the right direction, but until when? Are they going to stay there and say that, well, we decided not to fight and still engage the ANC, even though they will feel like the ANC is being hard on them and unfair on them? I think in a year or two, that might change. They might change, but if they don't change for the next 5 years, maybe they will earn the respect and votes of those who did not vote for them. Nico says, remember who stole the money? You people have short memory. Who stole the money, Nico? You mean the VBS? So basically, Julius Malema is heartful. Julius has seen that people have put the EFF and the rest of the parties in this mess by not voting correctly. So what Julius is saying is that go with those you voted for. Ramaphosa will be telling us what's going to happen. And I did, before even Julius spoke, I did say that forget about a coalition between the ANC, DA, I'm suffering with flu, ANC, DA, ANC, MK, and EFF. Forget about that coalition. What is going to happen is that Ramaphosa has chosen the DA. Julius just doesn't want to say it on public that Ramaphosa has rejected us. He doesn't want to say it, hoping that maybe something could change in the last minutes. But it is official. It just needs a stamp from the president. Ramaphosa will be doing a coalition with the DA. Ramaphosa is looking to take KZN. Remember, the reason they are trying to take out MK from KZN is not because of the ANC. It is because of the DA. The DA is a party that wants KZN. They want to run KZN. And part of the promises or part of the engagement is that you take Gauteng ANC, we take KZN. And we drop MK from that negotiation. So it is very interesting, guys. It's something that probably many will not be happy with, but it is the direction we are heading to. Let me check. Nothing yet from the ANC. They are still busy in the meeting, so hopefully very soon they are going to be coming up, and Ramaphosa will be able to address us. But it's time for action, and it's either now or never. So Julius Malema is right by saying what he's saying, but we all know it's over at this point. There won't be any chance for the EFF to get an opportunity in government. It's practically over. It's just a shame that. Just a second, guys. If I
the
I'm
Oppenheimers
going
did
to
not
take a
go
break,
to
just listen to
Obama's
this.
lecture in Johannesburg about Mandela, that memorial, what. They were not playing any role. But in the Prince Mangosuthu Buthelez's funeral, they played a prominent role. Why? The Oppenheimers wanted Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi to be the first black president of South Africa. They never believed in the ANC and Nelson Mandela. That's why when Nelson Mandela's first meetings outside South Africa, he was asked by Britain as to what is going to be the role of Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi in your cabinet when you win the elections. So Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi and the IFP have always been the project of the Oppenheimer family. The DA, it goes without saying. They control it. Now, they've got hold on the president of the ANC, and the situation demand that they must all come together. The DA complained and supported the impeachment of the president. The DA complained about Paul Mashatile. The DA complained about all the corrupt people. All of a sudden, they've got nothing to say about those people. That is an indication that someone came to take out the brain and said, we're moving this direction and we don't want to be questioned. Why would all of a sudden the DA see holy and good leadership in the ANC when they've not
yes, guys,
throughout the years?
So
it's because when
I
the
don't think we
numbers
should be playing it twice since we have listened to it. We are waiting for the ANC to let the people know what is the next step. And Julius said what he had to say. And unfortunately, it is not good news because Julius will not be taking part, as he said, from any, he will be standing out from any participation in leadership in terms of negotiations. He's not going to offer himself as the deputy president or any other portfolio. He says he's not part of it, but he only wants Floyd and Veronica to be given a chance. And if the ANC doesn't agree, then they're folding their arms. Nico, no, just to call out the criminals. Okay. Samuel, we have suffered so much under the leadership of Ramaphosa. And I would think you are not really happy with the fact that Ramaphosa will not be including Julius and Jacob Zuma as part of the coalition. And also, I think, regardless of what the decision is in terms of ANC and DA in KZN, I think one thing we need to avoid is a civil war or confrontation there by KZN. We don't need any uprising in KZN. I think if ANC and DA decides that they're taking out the MK party, it is going to be very unfair. But it's politics. At the end of the day, getting what guarantees you government is over 50%. If you are less than 50%, you are not guaranteed anything. So I do not think that people should then start uprising. People should then start looting and doing things that are not acceptable just because a certain party has not been chosen. That should not be accepted. Mkwanazi should stand up and make sure that they are on high alert in case such a thing happens. It's unfortunate for Jacob Zuma. It's unfortunate for the MK party if that is going to happen. But it's politics. Politics should be a game where if you are a loser, you should stay down and say that I've lost. You can't then be sidelined and then start uprising and saying that not under my watch, the people have voted. Now, if you are not including me, there will be war. We don't need such things. I think we're a country that needs to go forward instead of going backwards. We have to accept whatever outcomes that we get from voting. Unfortunately, if the people did not vote over 50%, then it means you don't have any power. If Jacob Zuma is sidelined, he should rest and say that let us go back to KZN and work as an opposition because we've been sidelined. And remember, there is too much confrontation that it's probably indirect between MK and ANC, to mention it, Jacob Zuma and Cyril Ramaphosa. There is too much animosity between them. So in that aspect, you wouldn't expect Ramaphosa to then say, you know what, there might be confrontation in KZN, so let us stand back and give it to Zuma because he fears there will be uprising. I don't think it should work that way. As much as it would be unfair, I definitely do not think that's how it should work. Pendulo, EFF is not going anywhere. Viva EFF. We are here. We don't need a position. So you are going to stay as an opposition for now. Is that what you're saying? Kim says Ramaphosa never had 5 years. Everybody forget that there was COVID when he announced 500 billion. Everybody was happy. Let's not forget where we're coming from. Ramaphosa never had 5 years. So during COVID, there was no government. We just sat there and was not under any leadership. Ramaphosa had his time. And unfortunately, during war, during civil war, during whatever, if those things happen, national emergency, it means a leader must stand up and show us that I am capable of leading. You are not a leader only when things are peaceful. You are a leader even when the state of emergency in your country. You are a leader so that you can show people that I have the power and the intelligence to run this country as a leader. So if he is going to blame everything on COVID, then he's not a leader. He probably shouldn't even participate in leadership. Mtokozisi says, as long as there is no satisfaction on how this election were conducted by IEC, the results and the after effect will always be taken with a pinch of salt. I hear you, but also, do you know that the case of MK was also dismissed by the Concord, the one they are taking against IEC and the unfairness of elections? Do nothing if and only if election was open and fair. So would you guys then say these elections were unfair and maybe it is the reason why the MK party did not win? Because if really the reason they did not win is because of rigging, then it is going to be impossible to prove that. As the court have said that bring forward evidence and let's make sure that we look at the evidence. I'm not saying they were probably not rigged. I've seen videos and it showed that somebody was playing with those results and they make sure that they work to their advantage. What can happen is that in future, this needs to be avoided. But to go back and fight, it might not work. Hence, you see Julius Malema being defeated. He's not addressing the attempts to challenge the IEC at court so that they can look at the results. He knows that if they go on that route, it is not going to be fruitful for them. They can challenge it as much as they like. Years will pass and they'll still be complaining about it. The biggest thing I think MK is worried about is the fact that they probably know that KZN would have been under them had it not been for any rigging which they are alleging. So KZN, they would have received over 50%, but unfortunately, they never received 50% and they are under danger of being sidelined by ANC and DA. And also Julius says that the relationship of Ramaphosa and Steenhuisen, it is not for the black people. And he doesn't like or agree with being partner to that relationship because that is not what black people would have wanted. They would have wanted a coalition that worked for for the majority of black people, and it is by black parties like MK, EFF, and the ANC. But as I said, there is no way that Ramaphosa, in his own capacity, would want to be dictated on how to run things, especially because MK wants Ramaphosa to leave. And the EFF had their position, which they were asking from the ANC, including the Minister of Finance. As now Julius says, we are no longer asking for Minister of Finance from ANC to be given to Floyd. We are saying the chairperson of the Finance Committee and give Veronica Mente the speaker. ANC will not allow Veronica to be speaker. I don't think so. They know that accountability is in parliament. You give the speaker to Veronica, ANC will see flames. So they're not going to allow that. It's just a shame that whatever conversation they're going to have there in their meeting, which they're busy with, it must include what happens if DA relationship doesn't work for us. Because it's possible that DA might just show the ANC flames and they might go back to say that maybe we did not do things as we were supposed to. The only thing I remember under the leadership of Ramapalapala is my fellow South Africans. Apparently, they say that we can't judge him based on fellow South African because there was COVID. He should have shown leadership during those times because a lot of corruption happened under that 500 billion. But a real leader, you can't tell me someone is a leader because they were governing during sicknesses and things were tough. You mean the time when they were closing every store, we couldn't even buy hair clippers, we couldn't even buy anything. As long as it is not essential, we couldn't buy it. You mean those were the leadership time? A lot could have been done. They could have behaved better during those times. And it tells you of what a leader is and what kind of specialities does a leader have. I do not want to say the president is not a well-oiled leader, but I think there are much more better leaders than him. And he is going to want to redeem himself in the next 5 years. Now, the question is, if he doesn't do things right, are we supposed to say that, well, he did not perform because there was a coalition? We will keep giving him excuses and things might just go back to zero. The ANC takes 22 steps forward and takes 2022 step backwards. That's how they operate. So this was a chance for other political parties to play a role. But we cannot blame the ANC because people want positions. Even me, if I was Ramaphosa, I would still say not under my watch. Positions that you're asking, I am not giving it to you, but the DA will show Ramaphosa flames. Those guys know who they are doing. Mzambo says ANC plus DA plus IFP equals to MK, EFF, and NFP in KZN. Are you just comparing the parties and the coalition? Because obviously, MKP, EFF, and NFP actually, the ANC wants NFP to go on their side in KZN, and Zuma has had a meeting with NFP to say that let us find each other, let us see if we can work together. Hopefully, NFP can agree because Zuma knows it's very tough. And the EFF also knows that they only have 2% in KZN. They can't do anything. That is why when he says, I am not going to really listen or go and help the people who did not vote, they go on further to even say that the people of KZN did not vote for the EFF. So it's going to be very difficult to listen to their issues because we received nothing. And of course, EFF got 2% in KZN. 2%. One would have thought 7% was better. It would have shown that something is being done. But you cannot expect to get a lot of votes in KZN where there is NFP, IFP, and Umkhonto Wesizwe, including the ANC. You cannot expect to get anything in KZN. The 2% that EFF got, it's what was on the offer. There is no way they were going to get enough. If there was no MKP, EFF would have been flourishing there in KZN. They would have probably got 18%. But now with MKP, the people have a hero who's going to help them in the name of Jacob Zuma. I'm just checking, guys, if Ramaphosa is about to go live. And I said it before that it's possible that we can wait and only get addressed by 10 p.m. Apparently or allegedly, so that we don't get sued. Some leaders need to consult with other powerful businessmen or our powerful billionaires before decisions can be made. But the people of South Africa are saying that the decision of ANC to work with the DA is incorrect. And they don't agree with whatever decision that will come out of that relationship. Unfortunately, Ramaphosa and ANC, their back is against the wall. If they don't go that route, they risk being with some parties which are going to tell them do this, do that.
They rejected millions. The Oppenheimers were dishing out money unashamedly. When we say Oppenheimers, we mean all of those people. Oppenheimer is the representative of those multimillionaire families of the Ruperts and the Minels and all of them who have been pumping money to try and manipulate the political landscape in South Africa, and that has successfully failed. So what do? We retreat back to our traditional political parties and then unite them. The IFP is not an organization outside the Oppenheimers. It was formed by them. Who in his rightful mind will give Tlhabisa 20 million? Because he can't even speak to that 20 million himself. So why would someone say, yes, 20 million to Tlhabisa? To do what with it? Tlhabisa was given 20 million and then he was pushed out of the campaign. The campaign was run by the chairperson and the premier candidate of the IFP in KZN. I found Tlhabisa campaigning in Malamulele. I'm like, what is he doing in Malamulele? That's how much was pushed out of the campaign. But the money was put inside the IFP because the IFP is an entity of the Oppenheimer family. You have all seen at the Prince Mangosuthu Buthelez's funeral, where no less than 4 members of the Oppenheimer family are in attendance. There's a video of them greeting President Ramaphosa at President I mean Prince Mangosuthu Buthelez's funeral. The Oppenheimers did not go to Mandela's family. They were not a factor in Mandela's family, a funeral. The Oppenheimers did not go to Obama's lecture in Johannesburg about Mandela, that memorial, what. They were not playing any role. But in the Prince Mangosuthu Buthelez's funeral, they played a prominent role. Why? The Oppenheimers wanted Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi to be the first black president of South Africa. They never believed in the ANC and Nelson Mandela. That's why when Nelson Mandela's first meetings outside South Africa, he was asked by Britain as to what is going to be the role of Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi in your cabinet when you win the elections. So Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi and the IFP have always been the project of the Oppenheimer family. The DA, it goes without saying. They control it. Now, they've got hold on the president of the ANC, and the situation demand that they must all come together. The DA complained, and supported the impeachment of the president. The DA complained about Paul Mashatile. The DA complained about all the corrupt people. All of a sudden, they've got nothing to say about those people. That is an indication that someone came to take out the brain and said, we're moving this direction and we don't want to be questioned. Why would all of a sudden the DA see holy and good leadership in the ANC when they've not throughout the years? Is because when the numbers put together, the Oppenheimers see that they will still continue to be in charge. So the ANC played with an opportunity to isolate imperialist forces and the white monopoly capital in South Africa. This was an opportune moment for progressive political formations to come together. The president says to me, we cannot form the GNU without a DA because we want a non-racial GNU. I asked him a question. Are you saying the ANC is not a non-racial organization? Because the ANC is a non-racial organization without the DA. So why would it say, when it comes to government, if there is no DA, we are not non-racial? But when they run their daily activities, including in their constitution, they are non-racial. I said to the president, there are white people in the ANC, in the EFF, in all the progressive formations. White people are found there. If it's about the question of non-racialism, we can still find white people from amongst ourselves. It's not the question of non-racialism. We are not opposed to white people. We are opposed to white supremacy. We are opposed to racism. We are opposed to Afrikanerdom. We are opposed to white monopoly capital. Any other progressive name that gets to be put forward by the president of a white person, Indian person, colored person, African person, as long as that is a progressive name, will support it. I said to the
that is what the EFF president was saying during the presser, which I think it was very strategic, because the point was that let us go and address the people before ANC goes and address them about the coalition. You know that you can even see from the facial expression of Julius Malema that he is defeated. He knows that he's not going to be part of the ANC plans unless Ramaphosa is forced in the last minutes that you have to choose Julius Malema and the MK, because that's where we need to go. At this point, it's just going to be difficult as time goes. Ramaphosa will have to work with Steenhuisen, and I think we are likely to see Velenkosi Tlhabisa of the IFP as the deputy president on that coalition of DA, ANC, and IFP. We are going to see Velenkosi being the deputy, and John Steenhuisen will say that forget about the high-ranking position. Give me the ministers probably going to demand 2 or 3 ministers from the ANC, and that is going to be a win for them. 2 ministers for DA, that is a win for them because it's what they are looking for. Now, one has to feel sorry for Julius Malema today. I could see that they are defeated in terms of these ongoing negotiations, and they are throwing in a towel to say that we tried and we failed. So go and do as you like, ANC. And to the people that voted ANC, go have it. And if you see flames, don't come running at us because you did not choose us. They did not choose the EFF, and they failed in terms of coalition to agree with the ANC. What now remains is listening to Ramaphosa telling us that, fellow comrades, this is the direction that we are going to be taking. No more ANC and other parties, the black parties, as people say, MK and EFF. What we are going to have is the ANC working together with the Democratic Alliance. It's a pity they take forever, Ramaphosa. He takes forever to come and address us. They gave us the time of 1900. It's 7:30 at this moment. So they should be coming to clear the air so that people can know what is going on. Tomorrow they are swearing in new members of parliament. And Jabulani said, I'm going to be present. Unfortunately, even the Western Cape High Court, they said that you are not allowed to go to parliament. You are not a member of the MK. So now the question is, are the MK members going to attend? Because even parliament cancelled the accommodation and flight tickets of all MK party members. So basically, parliament is saying that MK, you are busy threatening not to come. So you are not coming. It's no longer about whether you will come or not. You are not coming. If you come, it will be out of your own pockets. It is going to be very interesting to look at the direction of how parliament is going to be structured. And I think we are waiting to see if finally the MK party will agree to form part of the parliament so that time can proceed, so that they can start working together or against each other. But at the end of the day, they have to be part of parliament. And by the ongoing courts and ongoing statements, it shows that MK is not prepared because they feel hard done by the IEC. Unfortunately, Ramaphosa and the ANC do not agree with what MK is bringing forward. And now it's DA and the ANC. People might not like it, but it's actually going that way. Grumpy Gamer said, Malema is doing well in Zimbabwe. Timothy, Ramaphosa is always late. He never comes on time. And me being me struggling with flu today, I feel like it should just come so that we can be able to finish with what we are doing. I'm really suffering today. Eh? And Timothy says his speech on the day was promised to be at 6 p.m. ended up being 11 p.m. He's taking forever because it is difficult for them to make a decision. He's not the only person who is deciding. As Julius said that people were against him during that last address and they agreed on a certain thing and he goes to address a different story. So the president of the ANC has the upper hand on all the matters that goes on in the ANC. They have to hear from him. Well, they might oppose, but there are people who cover him. On the bench, there are people like Fikile, there are people like Gwere. You cannot defeat those powerful guys there. If they put their point across, all you have to do is agree with what they are saying. So I'm sure they know South Africans are not going to like what they're going to announce to us. But you might not like it, but you are going to have to accept it. Similar to what might happen in KZN. People might not love it, but they might have to accept it because it's the constitution. It's how we must work. Government must proceed with its work. So if the election produced no outright majority in many provinces, then the minds of these political parties have to come together so that they can agree on how to do business. And taking MK out is unfair, but as all people would say, business is business. So MK will have to agree with being on the bench if DA and ANC work together. Grumpy Gamer, who should get treasury, meaning what? The Minister of Finance. I wouldn't know in terms of DA and the ANC, but I think the ANC can give the DA any ministerial position they are asking. But there is no way ANC is going to let go of finance. If there's one thing ANC is not willing to compromise, it's finance minister and the president. They can compromise the deputy president. Paul Mashatile must be ready to be serving in another ministerial position, but he's not going to be the deputy. ANC will not compromise the president. They will not compromise finance. That is why you hear Julius Malema saying that, well, we don't mind supporting Ramaphosa as the president because we are going to say that give us Floyd as the chairperson of the finance committee. But remember, Ramaphosa does not need the EFF support. If Ramaphosa announces that they are going to be working with the DA, they don't need support of the EFF. That is why they are not going to agree with terms of EFF in terms of Veronica Mente and Floyd Shivambu. Because already working with DA and the IFP, they go over 50%. So it's not going to happen that Ramaphosa would want to listen to what the EFF is saying. That is why I'm saying it is concluded. There won't be any other communication between Ramaphosa, Julius Malema, MK Party. It is concluded. Ramaphosa will be taking the route of working with MK Party, with the DA. And MK Party, EFF, they will have to sit on the side and watch as the proceedings of ANC and DA go smoothly if it happens. But the issue of Julius Malema saying that we are just going to go to parliament and not cause any problem, that will be a test. And I think we are going to have to look at it and see if indeed it's going to happen. Today is definitely not a good day, guys. I can feel it on myself also. I think the flu came because whatever the president is going to announce, it is not what the masses is going to like. So they are currently still busy at the meetings, as you can see. So there is Ramaphosa. As I said, I've said it before. Ramaphosa, and he has Kwere, and he has Fikile Mbalula on his side. I don't think Paul Mashatile is on the good side of Ramaphosa, but the two guys, Gwere and Fikile, can influence the rest of the women. Not to say they're weak, but they can influence them. And Paul Mashatile, even if he hates, there's nothing he can do. So now it's going to be a decision where Paul knows I have to step down as the deputy president of South Africa because I don't have the power to go against what the ANC wants. You can see it's a full house. It's a full house there by the ANC. But at the end of the day, it is ANC and DA. There's no one who's going to change their mind. Delan says we are going backwards to apartheid. We are being sold live. I'm ready for anything if we have to fight for our country. Ready to fight. There won't be no time to fight. What if this collaboration of ANC and DA works. Are you going to fight still? There is Tandi Mudise. I'm sure the pigs are behaving now. As you know, she's been accused of the wrong things, but I think there are times are coming to an end.
We're
As
not
the
being
leadership
paid
of
money, we're paid peanuts.
the leadership
And then
of
one
ANC.
of
I'm
the
just
people
going to
who
play
joins
this
them
clip,
in
guys.
singing that song
Maybe let's listen to
is,
Julius again
Pravin
while we
Gordhan.
wait for the president.
They
If
even
we
get
are unable
addressed
to
by
wait
Pravin
because
Gordhan,
today
who's
is
in
just
cahoots
difficult, I'm
with
struggling
these
with
minds
the,
that are exploiting
we might have to
the mine
stop the
workers.
live and maybe
That's a
go
huge
live when
contradiction.
Ramaphosa comes. But
It
for
can,
now,
it can
those who did not
clearly
listen, or if you
indicate to
wish to
you
listen again, this is
Was,
Julius Malema.
An oversight will not necessarily only mean that you must be in opposition and without any single position in the legislature or parliament. We remain an opposition in positions of committees, in positions of deputy speaker or a speaker. And that even makes that committee to be more effective, because departments are no longer going to go there knowing very well that they're going to enjoy the protection of the chairperson. So that will give the EFF the most efficient and effective way of holding the executive accountable. And that's why we think there is no contradiction in doing that. The interpretation I've given to you, it's a plan B. The first plan was to buy South Africa through the funding of political parties. That's why there is a party change which was given more than 30 million. It ended up not participating in the election. Then Rise Mzansi and all kinds of political parties given huge millions. And what did South Africans do? Rejected those millions. So this answers the same question. What are you saying about the future funding by these institutions which have got control over the research institute, which have got control over the media? South Africans are going to become more and more wiser. And they've demonstrated during these elections that they cannot be bought. They rejected millions. The Oppenheimers were dishing out money unashamedly. When we say Oppenheimers, we mean all of those people. Oppenheimer is a representative of those multimillionaire families of the Ruperts and the Minels and all of them, who have been pumping money to try and manipulate the political landscape in South Africa, and that has successfully failed. So what do? We retreat back to our traditional political parties and then unite them. The IFP is not an organization outside the Oppenheimers. It was formed by them. Who in his rightful mind will give Tlhabisa 20 million? Because he can't even speak to that 20 million himself. So why would someone say, yes, 20 million to Tlhabisa? To do what with it? Tlhabisa was given 20 million and then he was pushed out of the campaign. The campaign was run by the chairperson and the premier candidate of the IFP in KZN. I found Tlhabisa campaigning in Malamulele. I'm like, what is he doing in Malamulele? That's how much he was pushed out of the campaign. But the money was put inside the IFP, because the IFP is an entity of the Oppenheimer family. You have all seen at the Prince Mangosuthu Buthelez's funeral, where no less than 4 members of the Oppenheimer family are in attendance. There is a video of them greeting President Ramaphosa at Prince Mangosuthu Buthelez's funeral. The Oppenheimers did not go to Mandela's family. They were not a factor in Mandela's family, a funeral. The Oppenheimers did not go to Obama's lecture in Johannesburg about Mandela, that memorial, what. They were not playing any role. But in the Prince Mangosuthu Buthelez's funeral, they played a prominent role. Why? The Oppenheimers wanted Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi to be the first black president of South Africa. They never believed in the ANC and Nelson Mandela. That's why when Nelson Mandela's first meetings outside South Africa, he was asked by Britain as to what is going to be the role of Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi in your cabinet when you win the elections. So Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi and the IFP have always been the project of the Oppenheimer family. The DA, it goes without saying. They control it. Now, they've got hold on the president of the ANC, and the situation demands that they must all come together. The DA complained, have been supported the impeachment of the president. The DA complained about Paul Mashatile. The DA complained about all the corrupt people. All of a sudden, they've got nothing to say about those people. That is an indication that someone came to take out the brain and said, we're moving this direction and we don't want to be questioned. Why would all of a sudden the DA see holy and good leadership in the ANC when they've not throughout the years? Is because when the numbers put together, the Oppenheimers see that they will still continue to be in charge. So the ANC played with an opportunity to isolate imperialist forces and the white monopoly capital in South Africa. This was an opportune moment for progressive political formations to come together. The president says to me, we cannot form the GNU without a DA because we want a non-racial GNU. I asked him a question. Are you saying the ANC is not a non-racial organization? Because the ANC is a non-racial organization without the DA. So why would it say, when it comes to government, if there's no DA, we are not non-racial? But when they run their daily activities, including in their constitution, they are non-racial. I said to the president, there are white people in the ANC, in the EFF, in all the progressive formations. White people are found there. If it's about the question of non-racialism, we can still find white people from amongst ourselves. It's not the question of non-racialism. We are not opposed to white people. We are opposed to white supremacy. We are opposed to racism. We are opposed to Afrikanerdom. We are opposed to white monopoly capital. Any other progressive name that gets to be put forward by the president of a white person, Indian person, colored person, African person, as long as that is a progressive name, will support it. I said to the president, we voted for the DA in 2016, where you, comrades, were arrogantly defying and denying us an opportunity to work together in 2016. We said to you, let's work together. You said, no, we don't want to work with you in the arrogant manner you are doing. What did we do? We pulled out where the DA was defeating you. We folded our hands. And I said to him, to show you it's not a question of race, and don't leave here saying I'm anti-white people. In 2016, we refused to participate in municipalities with the DA led by a black person. It was led by Maimani. In Joburg, it was led by Mashaba. We still said, we don't care who are the faces. This organization is a tool for imperialism and for white monopoly capital. So it's not about color. It's about the party that represents backwardness, a party that is a racist organization, a party like Freedom Front that says part of its conditions to go into a coalition is that we must declare Orania as a white Afrikaner land. And you say to us, we must go and participate in such a coalition. We'll never do that. Remember, when you are in cabinet, once you are defeated in argument, those decisions are binding on you. As a disciplined member of cabinet, you must go and defend that Orania must be a land of the Afrikaners. We will not do that. We will rather die without occupying positions in government than to allow white supremacists and racists to thrive. Fighters, inclusive government should not mean a compromise on the principle. We are for inclusive government. That's why we said today, we are the first political party to say to the ANC, we will work with you. But because we understood the element of inclusive government and government of national unity. But it does not mean we must sleep with Zionists with our eyes open. We're not going to do that. We said to the people of Palestine, we said to the Muslim communities everywhere in South Africa, the vote and the victory of the EFF is a victory of the people of Palestine. Those Muslims who voted for the EFF, those Muslims who have voted for the ANC, what are you saying to them when you go immediately in bed with the people who have supported a genocide, the killing of innocent women and children, and we must close our eyes in the name of inclusive government and overlook humanity? We will not do that as the EFF. President Ramaphosa has always been a project of these people. From school, he went straight to work for Urban Foundation, to work for the Oppenheimers. President Ramaphosa formed NUM. He has never been a mine worker. He has never been underground. From school straight, he was given money with other colleagues to form an NUM that was funded directly by the Oppenheimers. How does NUM, which had a policy conference over the weekend, sing a song, Sebenza kanzima, we're not being paid money, we're paid peanuts, and then one of the people who joins them in singing that song is Pravin Gordhan. They even get addressed by Pravin Gordhan, who's in cahoots with these mines that are exploiting the mine workers. That's a huge contradiction. It can clearly indicate to you that these people do not mean anything they are saying. So this is the end of the ANC. It is not of our own making. The ANC is not dying because the EFF is growing. The ANC is dying a natural death. With or without Zuma, the projections were the way they are now. Before the formation of MKP, the research showed that the ANC is going to go below 50%. And Mbalula polled it below 30%. At some point on the board, it went below 40% for real. So this is the end of it. Because you cannot say you want to change the property relations and you are engaged in the struggle for land, and then you go into cahoots with the people who are actually opposed to that struggle for the land. So South Africans, there is a story being peddled that we are flip-floppers because in 2016 we worked with DA and today we say we can't work with DA. Let's put it on record, lazy readers and lazy thinkers and people with a memory of a chicken. Go and check those facts. We have never worked with the DA. We said we are going to fold our arms because the ANC was arrogantly engaging us. We folded our arms and the DA dealt with them. And today you want to now turn the whole thing and say the EFF worked with the DA. We never worked with the DA. We never had an MMC under the DA government. We never had a speaker under the DA government. We never asked that which we're asking from the ANC, from the DA. There's an opportunity for progressive forces to align. When we say progressive forces, the people say you are saying black parties. There are no black parties. We are not a black party. We are a progressive force of the left. We are saying the progressive forces must align. I told President very clear that maybe sometimes this thing rings nicely in your ear when the DA says we'll work only with the ANC of Ramaphosa. It's not true. The ANC of Ramaphosa lost in Tshwane, in Joburg, in Tekwini, in Ikuruleni, and PE. Why didn't the DA offer the president what he is offering them now? Why didn't the DA say there is no outright winner? Come ANC of Ramaphosa, let's work together in Tshwane. If this situation we're in now was the DA in this situation with 40% and Freedom Front with 11% and ACDP with 5%, we're not going to be talking these things we're talking. They would have united and isolated all the progressive forces. And I'm not speculating. I'm telling you facts. Go and check in Tshwane, where the DA has got no outright majority. Did it invite the ANC of Ramaphosa because they can only work with the ANC of Ramaphosa? The ANC is under Ramaphosa now, in Tshwane, in Joburg, in Ekurhuleni. Why is the DA not inviting him? It is because Ramaphosa suffers from inferiority. He cannot
be late,
work
guys, but
without
it seems
white
like,
supervision. To invite the
movement.
DA.
If we can catch it from them, we'll catch it from the newsroom. I think Fikile is addressing.
Comrade
Sorry about that,
Kagiso
guys.
Lazarus Mukhosi, Northern Cape, Comrade Zamani Sau. The ANC national officials believe that the above comrades are equal to the challenges of our struggle for a better life for all that are difficult and diverse and require honest, capable and dedicated leaders. As we have done since the formation of our movement more than 112 years ago, the ANC will put the interest and the well-being of South Africans first. We have engaged, like we said, with a number of political parties, and we have reached a breakthrough on the common agreement that we need to work together. Whether others call this GNU or they call it any other thing for that matter, but we have agreed that as political parties we need to gravitate to the center, except a few who did not expressly support the GNU, and we are not going to retreat on the concept of the GNU because we believe that the government of national unity to us represent the outcome of the elections. We did not get outright majority. We are a 40% party. We have been supported and voted by 6 million people who want us to continue with the transformational agenda to changing the lives of the people for the better. We are in no position to govern this country alone. We need to work with others. Where we are not in charge, like in KwaZulu-Natal, we leave it to those who are above us to provide leadership and be mature to invite us, if it is possible, to actually participate. Where we lead, like in Gauteng and Northern Cape, we have provided that leadership. And we are talking to political parties as we speak right now. We believe that the agreements that we'll reach will be made public and will be engaged transparently as we move tomorrow towards the election of the President and the Speaker of the National Assembly, and on Saturday to the NCOP, also to elect the chair of the NCOP and other presiding officers. And in this regard, we have engaged in these discussions with an open mind. We know that there are other parties who are on the other side to our thinking. Nonetheless, they've got a majority. They've got people who said they too must come to the party, and we engaged them on the issue of the government of national unity, and they've agreed to come to the party. We are not afraid of government of national unity. We will work within this government to represent the interest of 6 million and more South Africans who want to see change, who want to see development, and we will work within the legislatures to entrench the principle of accountability among our public representatives, to fight things like corruption, to ensure that we are held accountable, and where necessary, we are held accountable through the prescripts of the legislative framework and the arms of the state, like the legislature. In this particular instance, we believe that we have reached a major breakthrough, that the majority of political parties in our country agree that this moment requires working together, not to get into it like a melting pot, but with set principles for others which are not negotiable. But nonetheless, there is an importance of working together to move the country forward. South Africa is important to all of us, and South Africans want services, want development, want a functioning government. And we have suffered a setback in this election, a setback that did not mean that we are out. We're still a party, but not with outright majority. So, which means that walking and strutting like peacocks and arrogance cannot work in this instance. The most important political approach, which is matured for our democracy, is the fact that the people have spoken. And they've spoken in the way they've spoken, and we need to interpret that correctly. And people did not say that you must work on your own. They said we must work with others. We defined the concept, and at the same time, everybody embraced this concept, even though others have their own interpretation. So to us, it doesn't matter whether the cat is black or white. The fundamental question is, how do we move South Africa forward, having interpreted the outcome of the elections? So to us, the National Democratic Revolution must breathe life within the framework of the government of national unity, notwithstanding what others want. We understand the anxiety, and we have been victims in the past couple of days of fake news that we have noted, that we keep dealing with in the context of these negotiations, that there is a foregone conclusion that the ANC have got an agreement with certain particular parties and all of that, and which is not the truth. And I've explained at the Rock that we've got no outcome that said to us we will get to this stage where we've got to talk with others. We work flat out not to reach a stage where we have to get ourselves below 50%. Now that we are here, we must talk to everyone. And that is what is important. And with the majority, albeit reduced, of the ANC, we have used that to engage maturely with political parties and who have understood that this is not the time to exchange blows. We have done that in the campaign. The people have spoken. To vilify and talk bad about other people politically is not important. The ANC want a share of its manifesto implemented, like others. 1%, 2%, 2, 3 seats, 4 seats, they too have been elected by the people of South Africa. So we have opened ourselves up and invited everybody to participate. Beyond that, we need to engage in a national dialogue, and that is what is important. The ANC itself as an organization and as a party, it's time to pause and reflect on this moment, and that political reflection is going to continue as we engage among ourselves, also with our allies, about this moment and what it represents and what we need to do to recover from it going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, SG. I will take questions, and please identify yourself from the media house you're representing. Over to you, my sister.
SG, if I understand you correctly, you say at this moment you can't give us the names of any political parties because there's no agreement. But tomorrow Parliament is sitting and there has to be voting for the Speaker and the President. How is that going to be done if we don't know which parties the ANC is going to work with? Are you not then concerned about the voting that is supposed to happen tomorrow?
We have met with all 17 political parties in the country, and they agree with the ANC. They've also raised their views in terms of what needs to happen in terms of the way forward. And we hope that we'll work with many of them in the election of the President and the Speaker. I'm not in a position at the present moment to deal with the details, as that is a matter that is still in the discussion. And once that it is actually concluded, which is really a detailed, fundamentally the most important point for us is foundational principles, which the discussions have not been characterized by transactional engagement, where people come to the table and demand this and that. They understand the moment require us to move forward faster, and then all other ingredients of the government of national unity will be defined in a strategic framework that we are working on as we speak. And we're working against time because we thought Parliament will sit later, but we're sitting tomorrow, we are there. So we've been working every day over time, and that's what is important.
Thank you very much. SABC?
Mr. Malema, you said that, okay, you can't make the details of the framework public, but as much as you tell us in due time if it's going to be public or not, will the GNU be binding, legally binding, perhaps?
The statement that I've read to you for the second time, we said that we must, because define constitutionally what GNU represent today. We are not looking at something that is going to collapse like a municipality of Johannesburg or Ekurhuleni and changing the mayor every weekend. So what is important here is that we're governing a country, and then governing the country requires that the JNU itself, as much as the foundational principles are clearer, the most important question, how is it kept together for a period of time and not being petty and not it becoming a melting pot of political parties coming in there and swallowing their identity and failing to hold others accountable in the process of governance. So that's what is important. So the question is how that is going to be. It's a matter that we will keep working on. We don't stop tomorrow. And those who are part of this will be part of the process of shaping up what needs to happen about this GNU phenomenon, including institutionalizing it to an extent that it become part and parcel of the framework of the law in the Republic of South Africa. That will guide us for the next 5 years.
Which parties have formally indicated that they accept the invitation to join the GNU? That's the first one. Then is the ANC giving itself a deadline that by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, you must have a sense of who you're going to president, speaker, etc. Then which leaders will President Cyril Ramaphosa be meeting this evening? Julius Malema has indicated that he's one of them. Will you be meeting John Kennedy, for example? And then the last one, the EFF has indicated that they don't want to join the GNU, but they would like to join the speaker or in any other capacity. Are you negotiating outside of the GNU for any reason with any party?
We have negotiated, not negotiated. We have engaged in exploratory discussions with MK Party, and we will continue to engage with them in exploratory discussions. We have engaged in exploratory discussions with the EFF, and we did not find each other on the issue of the GNU. We have accepted that particular point. We move on. We have engaged with the DA. We agree on the GNU with them. We have engaged with PA. They agree with the GNU. We have engaged with UDM. They agree with GNU. We have engaged with the IFP. They agree with the GNU. We have engaged with Al-Jama, albeit with the reservations. They agree to work with us going forward. We have engaged with Rise Mzansi. They did not have challenges, except matters of the detail in terms of how the JNU is going to shape up. They are not fundamentally opposed to it. We have engaged with Freedom Front Plus. They've agreed to the GNU, and we have engaged with National Colored Congress. They've also agreed, but have got reservations in relation to how that shape up going forward. So we have not spoken to UAT. We have not spoken to Action SA. Because UAT, I think it's just a question of time. We will talk to them between now and tomorrow and engage with them and so on. Action SA, we are open to engaging with them, even though we know that they've pronounced that they don't want to talk to the ANC. We think that is something that constrain engaging with them, but nonetheless, we have not closed the door from talking to them. So we have talked to all 7, more or less 17 plus political parties except 2. And then you know that other political parties have been in court, not knowing whether they will be there tomorrow and all of that. But we have had exploratory discussions, which were good and exploratory and progressive and all of that. The spirit of the discussion in terms of the foundational principles of all of this is that you don't share power, but you work with others in a way of cooperation. And then in this particular instance, the ANC would like to work with as many political parties as possible. We have spoken to the IFP, and also they've agreed to come to the party in terms of the GNU. So that to us represents a major breakthrough. The question of the detail of what happens tomorrow, it's a matter that will be pronounced by the parties concerned overnight and up until tomorrow. That will happen. The work doesn't stop tomorrow. It continues to the formation of government itself once the president is elected. But also in terms of working in the legislatures, these are uncharted waters where in which a majority party like ours is reduced with its majority, and now it has got to work with other political parties within a framework of collaboration, which we have never had before except at local government. Now at national government, we've got it. How do we then deal with that particular matter going forward? So our discussions, it's not a discussion with partners, it's discussion with political parties irrespective of ideological and political background. Of course, others want to narrow us to the ideology when the posture and the moment does not allow. It is very easy to say, let's work as black political parties and do that. We can argue the whole night about the ideology. We in the ANC do not subscribe to the notion of just narrowly black political party, because in terms of our existence and understanding of South Africa, we subscribe to colonialism of a special type. That South Africa was colonized, but it became a colonized country where the colonized and the colonizer coexisted. So we are different from others precisely because of that. 2, we are non-racial because in our conceptualization of the struggle to liberate our people, the primary contradiction are about the resolve of the national question, which primarily it's about, yes, it is class, but gender and race, because we were divided in this country in terms of race and racially segregated. So the question of resolving the national question primarily is what informed the ANC and how we approach the South Africa's situation and struggle and liberation for the people of South Africa. So we are not just a party that exists without ideology and just grab everything else that passes by, and we don't understand ourselves and where we come from. The notion of blackness arises in the context of others, where in which it is not clearly defined. From the point of view of ideology, what are we talking about? And working in cooperation, it doesn't mean that tomorrow you become that party or that party becomes you. It means here is the moment. You have lost power, and in losing that power, you need to work with others to achieve the result. But it doesn't mean that you are going to die. We have never died in 1994 with 62%. We'll never die with 40%. 6 million people want us to live, and we are going to live. Living means pursuing the national democratic revolution. And that is what is fundamental to us in terms of our policies, in terms of our manifesto, and that is it. We are not going to pursue a manifesto of another party or be forced to become another party and all of that. Neither will those parties accept to be. Yeah, we are talking to people who wanted us to be below 50%, and they've achieved that particular result, including those who characterize themselves as left. They wanted us to be in this moment. Now they want to lock us into a prison because that's what they wanted to achieve. We're not going there, to that prison. Whether you can call it Paulsmo and all of that, it will remain empty without us. We are standing on the side of things in which we say, let's work together. And that is what is fundamental to us. And this working together is not transactional. It's not about, I want this post and that post, I want this position and that position. The question is, how do we work together with this result to serve the people of South Africa better? This is what the people wanted. We didn't want it. And then we interpret what the people want correctly in order to serve the people of South Africa. And that is why we say, in the foundational principles, one of the important and imperative that we need to subscribe to is constitutionalism, the rule of law. And at the same time, we need to subscribe to non-sexism and non-racialism. You know, the binding principles that arise out of our constitution. And that is what is important. And then we work for South Africans. Everybody subscribe to the notion that we are for South Africa first. This is where we are. And then let's go and move forward and work together as a nation and as different political parties. It doesn't mean that we are going to agree in this parliament and it's going to be nice in the next 20 days and so and all of that, or in this government and all of that part. We are going to move South Africa forward in a particular strategic framework to get things to happen.
New York Times?
John Olivo of the New York Times. Just two questions. Have you all, I know you said that the agreement still needs to be formalized and there are still things that need to be figured out, but have you all garnered enough support to get President Ramaphosa re-elected tomorrow? And the second question, when do you anticipate that the full details of the GNU will be set in stone and sealed? Will that happen tomorrow, or do you think that's going to be a longer-term thing as Parliament is going?
We will deal with that matter tomorrow. The strategic framework will be made available once it is agreed and will be signed by political parties that agree to it. And it will be a document that will be engaged by everybody. And then we'll take it from there. The question of tomorrow is not about whether the president gets elected or not. We need to get the country and move the country forward. And tomorrow is the beginning of that. And that's what is important. But like I said, tomorrow is an important beginning in the post-elections period. And we have subscribed to the notion that we can work together. And working together means that there's a whole lot of things that we still need to work on in these uncharted waters in relation to how we're going to behave, work together, safeguard the interests of our constituencies and our people going forward. And that's what is important for us.
Thank you very much. And I go right at the back, and then I'll come.
He's still speaking.
The last round. Right at the back, please identify yourself, my brother.
We are in the negotiations. The DA is not a branch of the ANC. They've got the right to think for themselves. They've got the right to put issues on the table. We engage. And so stop disabuse yourselves about thinking what the DA thinks is ANC and what ANC thinks is DA. If I say this today and then the DA disagrees with me and the ANC, doesn't mean that the DA have ceased to be DA. And that is what is important. So the ANC engages with everybody with decency, maturity, and the most important thing to safeguard who we are and what we represent. And briefly what I talk about here, which is the National Democratic Revolution. It's a long thing to explain in a press conference. It will need a workshop and a lecture advert for you to understand who we are and what we stand for. So I'm just dealing with the synopsis of it. And all what I'm explaining here is that we are involved in a discussion, and there is nobody who has come to us with demands. There are people who say, okay, this is what we think, and then we negotiate. That's the nature of negotiations. That's the nature of engagement. And if somebody says no, to find each other, we think we must move in this direction, that's it. And it doesn't mean that that political party, when you find each other, you have now disappeared, you have killed your identities. That's not what it means. There is this hurried thought which is selling like petrol, not even petrol, paraffin, that the ANC has got a deal with the DA and is about to be swallowed. How do you get swallowed with 6 million people? And if the DA were to get some of these things that it wants, it means the ANC will be dead. We have been pushed back, but we are not out. So we are in no position to abandon everything else of what we believe in with 6 million people who have voted for us. Our people every day and our membership, which is fragile at the present moment because we are below 50, has been pushed back, and it is said to them every day that the ANC is going. It is not, because 6 million people said it's not time for us to go. So we'll move from that 6 million to come back, and that's it.
Very much. Newsroom.
Thank you very much. It's Zianda Ngobo from Newsroom Africa. We've just come from a briefing with Julius Malema, where he's been saying that this, has not been transactional, but he's basically said that if you don't reinstate Ulego Dunga as the finance minister, whatever was discussed with the president is off the table. My question goes back to is twofold. The first is the ANC's reflection of how these discussions, exploratory conversations, however you frame it, have actually had possible permutations at a provincial and a local government level. But again, the question that my colleague at Bloomberg asked, who's the president meeting with tonight? Because Julius Malema said that he's meeting with the president. Does this also include the DA's John Steenhuisen?
The president has met with Julius Malema in Johannesburg yesterday. He has met with John Steenhuisen. He's meeting with the leader of the IFP. He will meet with others that he will meet with if they deem it fit that they want to see the president, and that is what is important. We've got a negotiating team led by the Secretary General. We have met all political parties. We are not closing the door to anybody. What is discussed between closed doors, between leaders, is not a matter sometimes of public consumption, because you've got to respect each other. Those are the parameters. Because if you talk to somebody and then you then say, even before you reach an agreement, and then address the media and say, if the following do not happen, I'm not coming, and easy. So what are you trying to say? So who said that you will be engaged? We are negotiating, we are engaging with everybody, but not with the cap in the hand. There's nothing we beg from the EFF, anywhere in the country. And we are engaging with them with decency. And if they treat us like as if we don't exist and we are addressed like that, we don't think that's the way for political parties to speak to each other. The ANC speaks even to a party with one man seat, because the moment you start to play big and become arrogant, that's not the nature of democracy and leadership. We might have talked things during the campaign and engaged, crisscross the country, criticize each other. The country has now spoken. Interpret that moment and decide. We have done that. This is not the time to be telling somebody whether he's relevant or irrelevant. The question is that the people have spoken and they've said, we don't give you an outright majority. So what do you do about it? The ANC must go all out here, throwing tantrums against EFF and everybody else. The moment require us to sit around the table and talk. If the discussions are going to be deadlocked by transactional issues that happened at local government level, it's a choice of a political party that it makes, and I can't pronounce on that. I'm neither a spokesperson of the EFF or its fan.
Eyewitness News.
Mr. Baluda, the ANC in the past has always had a posture, at least for local governments, that the party with the most votes has to be the one that forms the government. Even with the ANC right now with 40% is leading these GNU talks. So I just want to know that how does this align with the actions of the ANC in KZN, where it is forming a coalition that excludes the party with the most votes in KZN, being obviously the ANC party?
We have not excluded any party. It is upon the party that leads in KZN to interpret the moment. So that party, when it was supposed to interpret the moment and the responsibility that the people of KZN has given to it, it went to the Constitutional Court. And then we've been waiting for them. So the Constitutional Court pronounced yesterday. The ANC didn't win power. The ANC talks to everybody. So if people invite us to come to the GNU or Provincial Government of National Unity in KZN, we've been there before. And then we give our structures in the context of our framework, the mandate to respond to that situation in the manner in which they could. And we have not won power. If we won power in KZN, we would have spoken to everybody. Without outright majority, we would have spoken to everybody. Nationally, we didn't win power outrightly. We went to our NEC and decided and asked a strategic question. Like Lenin will ask, what is to be done? And then we answered, Government of National Unity. We went and we talked to everybody about it. Here is our position. Our president pronounced publicly in the presence of the NEC at its conclusion that we are moving with Government of National Unity, transparent and openly. Having engaged the whole day, because some of you reported that we are going to kill each other in that meeting. And that, you see, our meeting here did not even last for hours. It's gone. But there are people who are going to come and tell you that, and about 4 people, 5 people spoke in this meeting. But we are going to have 10 people who will have interpreted things we never know about out of this meeting. Now, the ANC have engaged with everyone. And we've got no responsibility in KZN to form government. And we have been approached and we have responded to that. And that's it. We have responded to that and will continuously engage with everybody in that particular context. So in Gauteng, we are leading. We don't have outright majority. We are speaking to all political parties. That's the initiative we have done. So we don't take the votes of the people for granted. And then we sit back. People have voted for us. We don't do anything about what mandate they've given to us. We respect them. We respect the 6 million people who have voted for us because they still want us to be in government. If we got 3 million people, we will be stepping back and allowing others to lead. That will mean you are out of power. So you've got to be invited. Uyamenywa emigidini awuzimemi. When you invite yourself to a party, you are going to arrive there and then they don't give you food. They don't give you alcohol. They drink alone. And then they say, we don't know who you came with. So you don't do that. Funeka ube nembeko. Xa usendaweni ozaziyo ukuthi nawe andinawo amandla. So even political parties with 1 seat, 2 seats have respected themselves in the process. They are not transactional. They are engaging. They talk about their interest and all of that. The ANC has got to respect that. That's democracy. We fought for that democracy. Painful as it is for us today that we are below 50%, but it's a democracy. That's what we fought for here in this country. That is so vibrant, bloodless, that you don't have protests, people crying and saying that we are robbed. everywhere else in the country accepting the results, and the majority party and the ruling party accepting the outcome and not doing shenanigans that are not clearly defined. That tells you that we are leading a solid country, and that is South Africa. And we should be proud as a South African today to be in South Africa after the elections. There is still the state. The police are there. The army is still there. There is a president who is waiting to be inaugurated, whom we don't know whether he will be confirmed tomorrow. That's the democracy. It's at play. So you've got to understand it in that way. You know, it took many countries a long time to be where we are. It took us a very short space of time because the foundation was strong. And what was that foundation? Is our constitution. Our people were queuing, they had challenges and all of that and so on. Some did not even vote and all of that. And they were very impatient in the queues and they left and so on. But who else has ever come out in this country and said, I think these elections are not free and fair? Except one party that I don't want to talk about. And it went to court and that's it. So the fact of the matter is that it's a democracy. We have accepted. Our results came out quicker as agreed. Sunday, the results will be certified, will be pronounced. We were all at the results center. We are done with elections now. And that's where we are.
The last hand will be yourself, my sister, right there at the back. Oh, sorry, yeah, you'll be the last one.
Limited to the DA, this question around the civil mandate. You've said just now that the ANC wants to advance and drive its own manifesto in terms of the civil administration. And I would imagine that every single political party that has negotiations with you is ideally wanting the same. So have you discussed as the ANC, or are you going to be able to entertain political parties that are saying to you that these particular departments that they will be running, they will drive their own policies? Because as much as we want to equate this moment to 94, it is not.
It is definitely not 94. We are not equating it in any way. We have characterized it properly. We said it's a moment with a different outcome that require us to respond to it. And that is why when we characterized it, we didn't arrive at a single solution that fits all. We said that the moment first politically, how do we characterize it? Is that we have lost elections. South Africans want us plainly to govern with others together. That's what we said. So what solution do you have for that outcome? We said it requires a government of national unity. The government of national unity of 1994 was entrenched in the Constitution, and it was not to be there forever. So we then said this movement requires us for everybody to work together, then let's talk to everyone, and so that people can contribute to it. And that is why we talk about Lizeka, a strategic framework that is going to come out of this process towards the establishment of this government of national unity. It will be reflected in the executive, this government of national unity. It will also be reflected also in the legislatures and the National Assembly and all of that. It is no longer a situation where you are a 60% party, you are dominant, you can do things alone. You've got to work with others, albeit with limited roles. Not that when you come to the National Assembly committees and everything is ANC-led. This moment and the situation and the outcome does not permit us to do that. So you've got to then put the mind together in terms of how you are then going to navigate through that particular process and work around it to ensure that it serves everybody. But in serving everybody doesn't mean it's a melting pot where in which each of these political parties don't have an identity. And that's it. Yes, they don't have an identity, they don't have a program of action and all of that. The question of sealed agreements, remember, we've got the constitution. It must be also located there because there is nothing in the constitution that talks about within state departments sealed agreements. It's unconstitutional. You'll be challenged here in South Africa that you are doing something unconstitutional. We've got Chapter 9 institutions that keep us in check. We've got a constitution that enables us to respond to situations when we're faced with difficulties. There is nothing that says you constitute an executive with others through sealed agreements. The question is, how do you then safeguard your interest within the government of national unity to pursue the mandate of your constituents? It's constraining, it's complex, it's a question of how, in the context of the law, the government of national unity navigate that. The foundational principle of what we all agree about with everybody, we want stability. We don't want anarchy, where tomorrow government is coming down and then there are challenges and all of that and so on. And when you talk about stability, it's not, I've seen other people vulgarizing it to the extent of even talking about the markets and everything else and so on. We're talking stability in terms of governance. Today, you don't have stability in local government because of the partners you choose. There is no framework because you work with political parties there who change depending on what is the weather that day. And then this weekend, if they want to elect a new speaker and they come together about it, they do that. It has brought stability. Look at Pretoria. Look at Tshwane. What it has done in terms of stability in those areas. You say in Johannesburg, you say there are potholes. When we were governing alone in Johannesburg, there was stability in relation to service delivery. Pick it up, everything you can talk about. So you don't see the effect of stability, of destabilization from the the problem of changing governance and all of that, because in certain, the model of some of these municipalities does not insulate the public servants from the political leadership. But in terms of our constitution, the state is intact, political leadership can change and everything else, but government will function. But government can be destabilized by the political setup if there is no stability there. So we serve the interest of the people of South Africa, and when we put these principles across and talking about this GNU we are talking about, whether you call it cooperation or you call multipartism and all of that, people agree about this is what binds us together. We are in if you are pursuing the following. And that is what is important.
You'll be the last.
Still talking.
Matlengi, are you still sure? You seeing people put it, they are the last.
No.
He wants to keep
talking,
Fikile.
It
Yes.
was recognized, and of course we can't sleep here, colleagues. It's really been long, and I think there's just...
And he's actually not saying anything.
Will be the last person. Three.
Were you surprised by the election results and the huge loss of support for the ANC? And the future of the GNU is going to be dominated by the ANC and most conservative parties such as the DA, the RP, which sort of have links with the history of the apartheid era, and why is this the ANC?
It's definitely 5 questions.
Yeah, let's remind you that in 1994, we came into a government of national unity, even with people who took us to jail. Did we die? We didn't. Did we survive? That moment we did. Did we deliver for our people? We did. All right? So this moment itself, it's not like we're going into something or conceptualize something that defines the death of the ANC. So what it means is that you didn't win elections, and how do you respond to this particular moment? And that's it. And for anyone to change the constitution requires 2/3 majority. And the foundation, which is our constitution, all the important things that we wanted to achieve are entrenched in the constitution, also in terms of the Bill of Rights. So they are not going to be changed because that's not the mandate of these political parties. None of these political parties have got the mandate to change the constitution which we adopted in 1996, which guarantees the rights. Let's say, for instance, there is a party that would have come into this JNU with ultra-conservative ideas, backwardness, tribalism, and all of that. They will not be able to amend the constitution. To do that, they must get 2/3 majority. So we are safeguarded and defended by the constitution. That's the first thing you must understand. This notion that when you talk to a political party that you are opposed to diametrically and ideologically, you are actually showing signs of being swallowed by the enemy or your opponent. It's incorrect. Let's argue in political terms what is enemy for the ANC. Because there is overlapping between what you characterize as the enemy and to your strategic opponent. Will I say the person who sits opposite to me in the benches, yeah, the DA, the EFF, and everybody else, are they enemies? No, they are strategic opponents. I know my enemy. My enemy, as much as it's not clearly defined like before 1994, the enemy was apartheid machinery. Let's render it unworkable and fight it. Today, the enemy is more sophisticated in terms of what it comes to represent against the ANC and the ideals of the African National Congress. Will the ANC abandon its ideas in terms of its foreign policy and the ANC in terms of what it stands for? Let's say for the people of Palestine, the people of Western Sahara and everywhere else, Cuba and everywhere. We're not going to change that. Will the DA change from what it represents? It will not change. Why do you mislead South Africa into an ideological, I don't know, highway of sort, that if you talk to this one, we are gone? I see cheap politicking even on social media that you can imagine this. Now, people think of things like, if you imagine this, it means the ANC is gone. That is misleading, populist, and at the same time seeking to hijack the revolution through populism. It is not like that. It is not like that. No political party that is going to die here simply because it agrees with GNU. We've got a strong constitutional foundation that leads us. And if the ANC abandons all the ideals of what it stands for in this particular process, then it will mean the ANC have gone below 6 million people to 1 million people. We are told here by people who have campaigned very hard to bring us below 50%. We are below 50%. They don't know what to do now. Because they have achieved their goal that we must be below 50%. When they were conceptualizing the idea of bringing us under 50%, what were they thinking? Didn't they think that the revolution will be compromised to this extent of being vulnerable? That you've got to talk to people that under normal circumstances you were not supposed to talk to, over matters that you could resolve internally in the party. They did not think about this moment, that you are pushing back the gains of the revolution. You are setting us back, and this is what it has done. So we are on the recovery, and we still have got to think hard about this moment, not just cheap politicking and ideological distortion that has been doing rounds all over the place. The key question before us and revolutionaries is, having suffered a setback, how do you then claw back? And that is what is important. And in this particular instance, the responsibility is on us to define how we are going to move forward, not on these political parties and everyone else. We know our enemies, right? We know our opponents. Our opponents are here in this National Assembly and they've won votes. The people have voted for them. They've given them votes, including those who broke away from us. They've got votes. And the question before them is, with these votes that we got, what do we want to do with them? Others, the votes that they got, they want positions. Right? Others, the votes that they got, we don't know what they want. So the question is, we shouldn't be here, we are here, and what do we do about it? The ANC is applying itself to that. And that is why today we're talking GNU. We talk GNU even when we got 62% overwhelming majority with Mandela, because we're addressing reconciliation. We are very aware that this GNU does not address reconciliation. It addresses the interest of the people of South Africa first, given the outcome of the election. How do we advance the interest of the people in unity? That is not elusive. That is what is fundamental about this GNU. That even if you can go and mobilize others and work on your own, will that not polarize this society further and basically set the country on a backward motion and bring about instability in the country? The country does not flourish, does not advance. This moment can make us even to gain more. Even in things that we could not do, we can do them in this moment going forward. That's what it is. That's what it is, because somebody somewhere did not go and vote or voted otherwise and did not even vote for the ANC. Will you punish that person by bringing instability in the country and turn this beautiful country to something else? No, ANC is not going to do that. ANC will work for the stability of the country and will engage everybody through a national dialogue, and we will join it, not on our own, but with the rest of South Africans. Maybe people have been talking and they think we are not listening, and they needed us to be in this moment for us to listen to them, and that is what is important. So the question is, as a revolutionary party, you don't become arrogant and you don't become you don't suffer from inertia. You give yourself a moment to reflect and think, and in order to advance. And that's what is important. So I studied Mao Zedong in terms of the guerrilla warfare. And what he says is that to take 3 steps backward does not mean defeat. It means a reflection. Look at where China is today. So I don't know where we are in South Africa. We didn't take 3 steps backward. The people made us to take steps backward. And therefore, we need to reflect as a party, how do we get out of this in order to advance? And that's what is important.
Thank you very much.
Can you finish?
Colleagues,
Oh.
thank you for your presence.
Yeah. I mean, there are points where Fikile Mbalula is making sense. But surely I shouldn't be wasting you guys' time. You want to have a rest. But there are points where he's making sense, especially some moments before he came to this point. But hey, this guy speaks for so long on one issue. And I'm not really happy with how the ANC is addressing the issue of coalition. What was the point of calling press briefing if they don't even know where they are going? It seems like the ANC is so confused. It's as confused as us. We are looking to get answers from them, but they are confused. We don't need what the ANC is showing us. It's showing us clueless leaders who are not willing to give out decisions. It's been so long. They are calling a media briefing on what? It's like they are afraid to say that we are going to work with the DA. And then they're just warming us up so that we can be comfortable to the idea of them having a relationship. The ANC must just be clear on their issues. It doesn't make sense. And actually, it's annoying to listen to Fikile Mbalula speaking about we are working, we are engaging. For how long are they going to be engaging? Do they want the DA to vote for Ramaphosa before they can say that we are declaring a relationship? It's concerning how the ANC is moving. It is this maneuvering like a tsotsi, because it's like they know that the people are watching. I'm waiting for them to sleep so that I can announce my presence. That is maybe why the reason they got 40%. If they are not careful, they are going to make mistakes, which is going to lead to them losing more votes. I am not happy with how they are going about business. It seems like no one is really out there to lead them. The president is not giving directions. They've been speaking the whole time. I mean, even the media briefing by the EFF, I don't think it was necessary, because if Ramaphosa had given us a clue today on why they are going, I would think maybe it's the end of the deal. It is not. We had Julius Malema speaking, Fikile Mbalula speaking. We are as confused as we were on Monday, not knowing where they are going. We know for sure the choice that could be made is DA and ANC, but these guys are not even telling us this is where we are. They keep telling us about issues that don't even concern the nation. Anyway, guys, let me not waste any time. I'm suffering with flu. As I said, tomorrow I will be live streaming the swearing in of MPs from 9 a.m. They will also be selecting the president. Please tune in. If you haven't clicked that notification bell, do so that when we go live, you'll be the first to know. And I appreciate your support, guys. As always, watching videos and being part of the live stream, it helps a lot, and I appreciate that so much. Please, guys, take care of yourself and be safe in this weather. And until next time, cheers.